The following announcement has been paid for by the
NOW.
What's up, y'all?
Nerds of Wrestling audio podcast is back. We just finished watching NXT TakeOver 25. 25 takeovers now.
That's crazy.
It's been a long, 5 years now since the original takeover.
That's part of why that's crazy.
That means the network, WWE Network's been around for about 5 years or more at this point as well.
You know what I didn't think about until literally just this very moment? You know what? I gotta get the chat on top of you.
Yeah, I'm on top of the chat. Look at that.
How did that happen?
I don't know. We gotta fix that. So welcome everyone though. This is our podcast recording. If you're joining us on Twitch, thank you so much. We're gonna be exporting this obviously for podcast format. So shout out to chat. We'll be doing questions and answering things. Sports Gaming, what's up? Alan, Blake, TC, thank you all for joining us. So again, we will be answering questions and communicating with you. This is primarily for our audio, but we will be engaging with you. So trust me,
of course.
We won't be ignoring you. But you were saying?
Yeah. So the thing that didn't occur to me until literally just now is TakeOver, what is it, New York specifically is like the NXT WrestleMania?
Well,
everybody kind of treats it that way, but like you say TakeOver and it's like the big thing for NXT anymore because they don't have
Keep going. It's okay.
They don't have any of the crazy named pay-per-views quite in the same way that the main roster does. And it's just interesting to me, TakeOver 25 just happened. That means the TakeOver numbering system is going to run past WrestleMania soon.
Well, here's to respond to that. New York isn't the main, right? TakeOver is based out of Florida. Or sure. NXT, I should say, is based out of Florida.
Yeah.
It's grown exponentially. They travel now. And TakeOvers usually are related to a major... one of the 4 pay-per-views. They've been doing a little bit more frequently now, especially like this one.
Yeah.
It doesn't really align with the major pay-per-view. So this is a one-off.
The Saudi show's coming up.
The Saudi show is coming up, but this
The
is...
Super Showdown.
The Super
Bigger than
Showdown.
WrestleMania.
Also, a quick shout-out for those joining us in audio format. I do want to introduce myself. I am one of the 2 hosts here, the main hosts for the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. I am Gravity Well, a.k.a. Travis. I am joined here back to the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. Was absent on the Money in the Bank one. I did that one solo, but we have Locke Steady, a.k.a. General Manager of NAW on Wednesday nights, a.k.a. Rob.
Yeah.
That's the man.
It's good to be back. Very, very happy to be back with you guys. I love doing this stuff, so I'm really excited to get back to doing these things and hanging out with you guys.
And then also in the studio this week, we have the voice, one half of the Miller Time team on NAW, Trevor, or Raven. Welcome.
Thank you.
He's so shy.
Very soft-spoken.
He's so shy. So hopefully he'll have some really good insight to add too. He's an avid wrestling fan, and I love debating with him as well as Rob here. So we're going to be talking a lot of wrestling. We're going to be covering 2 main shows this time, and that is it. We may talk about some other things that are happening, but primarily the 2 things that we'll be talking about is TakeOver 25. So with that being said, let's kick off into that, and then we'll segue into that other thing that happened a week ago called Double or Nothing.
That
AEW.
other thing.
Blake says, I can say this was my first NXT pay-per-view. Shout out to chat. So this was your first. It's a good first one to watch. Hopefully they've hooked you with that. With that being said, though, the show had 2 dark matches that'll end up airing on Wednesday next week. So watch NAW instead. You don't want to watch Keith Lee in action or Bianca Belair. Maybe you do, but...
I still think we're more entertaining.
I'll be on the network. You can watch those anytime.
Yeah, you can watch it anytime. But the show kicked off tonight with Matt Riddle and Roderick Strong.
That guy and that guy.
Yes, for the visual audience behind or watching us, we have it behind us.
Yeah.
And
mostly I just wanted an excuse to point at stuff behind us, if I'm being honest. It's fun.
It's strange. It's like weather reporting. Look, I'm touching his hand.
We should do that.
Bro.
Just do a weather show one day for no reason.
I'm going to be upfront and honest right off the bat. I don't like Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
Good wrestler, bad gimmick.
Yeah, a victim of a very bad gimmick. It's like the Hype Bros thing. maybe I'm not, and we talked about this before going in there, maybe I'm not part of the generation that would maybe appreciate it or kind of like it. And I don't want to date myself like that because that sucks. But at the same time, people are behind this gimmick.
Oh, God.
But I don't know. Alan, the other guy talking, we have Trevor with us in the studio. So 1/2 of the Miller time, he is off to this side of me over here. So
I don't know why that confused you.
Because when I'm pointing this way, it's actually pointing at him from the camera's
Well, from the camera's perspective, but they can't see him, so they wouldn't have known either way.
No, he's up there.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, that's at Raven Netline. There you go.
There you
Me.
go. That's true.
So as far as the match itself, obviously Roderick, part of a very strong faction, the Undisputed Era. I like what they're doing. The problem, though, with them, do they have an MO? Like, what is their MO?
Yeah.
Are they just a bunch of dudes that came from New Japan and then also competed in Ring of Honor and are now here? Like, what's their MO?
So here's the thing that's interesting.
Shock in the system.
Yeah.
They're shocked. Okay. What is the system? The developmental league called NXT before you go to the main roster?
Well, that's what I was going to say. This is the interesting thing for me specifically with NXT is that I don't tend to catch it week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So cards on the table, I don't know a single thing about what their gimmick is.
So here's what's difficult
Really?
about NXT programming. It's 1 hour long. It's taped in usually sessions, and you have like a grouping of maybe 8 episodes. At least they used to. They may spread it out a little bit differently now, but the original format was they would have maybe a week or two worth of tapings. They tape 8 to 10 episodes for the next 8 to 10 weeks. And they're hour long, so sometimes as an audience you get to see your person you like compete maybe once or twice, but it wouldn't be the same episode. So
Sure.
with an hour long show, you can't.
There's not a lot of storytelling in an hour.
But that's what made NXT so great for a lot of people. It went back to just wrestling.
Yeah.
The focus was wrestling. The stories that were interesting, but it also made it difficult to really explore a faction like that. The Shield came from NXT.
Yeah.
And obviously they grew from there. The Wyatt family came from NXT. They grew from what they were doing there. So you've seen groups or factions start in NXT and build. Oh, echo. So you see what I mean, though? Like,
Yeah.
so it's possible, but it's quite difficult at the same time. But as far as the match itself, let's talk about maybe some highlights or things that you appreciated. I know you mentioned the no shoes thing bothers you.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I don't even know why necessarily. It weirds me out. Dude wrestles with no shoes.
I mean, it gives your opponent a target. If your feet are hurt,
yeah,
and
if
you're
you wanna-
off the field.
you wanna stomp on them.
If you want
on
to
the
talk
mat.
strategic point, yeah, it seems stupid.
Yeah, it's not the
Come
wisest
out in
move.
just like steel-toed boots.
And I mean, maybe you're
Please.
more I don't know, agile, or your ability to move around is better. Like I don't know. The other reason for it, he comes from a background. He's an MMA fighter. Right?
Yeah.
And that's his background before he came here. You didn't wear shoes. You didn't wear boots in a ring. As part of his gimmick, it looks like it. Wow.
Andrea, tell me how you really feel.
So, shout out to comments. Lana says that Matt Riddle looks like he regularly date rapes chicks, and I want to punch him in his stupid face. Thank you, viewers, for chatting in and giving us your feedback.
Yes, that's true.
And again, those are quotes from our chat this week. So, match overall is a good opener. Again, Undisputed. I'm sorry for holding back. It's a good opener. Roderick Strong should have won. He didn't. They for some reason are really pushing Matt Riddle here.
For some reason. Because Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar haven't been printing money.
Well, here's the funny thing you say about Brock Lesnar. So Matt Riddle has noted on several occasions on social media and other places that he wants to be the one to take out Brock Lesnar for good. Matt Riddle. Why? What? Why?
Yeah, I mean, what's up, Diamond? Thanks for
Diamond,
tuning in,
how's it
saying
going?
hello.
Thank you for that. Thank you for joining us.
I don't know. I don't care at all about Matt Riddle, and so there's no intrigue to me for that. But I feel like there's a major selling point to that because fans have felt for so long like Brock didn't care. And it was reinforced regularly by him coming on TV once every 6 months to say he didn't care via Paul Heyman. And so, like, I get narratively why WWE would want to kind of push that as to say, well, this dude has the MMA background just like Brock did, and so he's going to come in and he's going to dethrone him. He'll be the next generation of worthwhile MMA crossover.
So they have to make a move on this quick. So Blake says in chat here, we're going to do a thing. This Monday when Brock cashes in, he will make sure Brock loses. So apparently Matt Riddle may show up on Raw. Here's the thing about Brock Lesnar real quick. From my understanding, it's been reported that his contract is ending at the next WrestleMania. That's when he wants to walk away.
Like for good?
For good. He's already proclaimed for a second time now that he has retired from MMA, UFC.
Yeah, see, and that's why I don't necessarily buy...
The man is in his 40s now. He is in still good shape, but...
Of all the things you can ever say about Brock, you can't accuse the guy of not being in good shape.
You can't accuse him of steroids.
I didn't say he did it legitimately. I just said he did it.
We're not allowed to say that anymore.
Oh, we can't say. Yeah, we can't say. We can't. No steroids talk. So here's the thing, too. If they honestly were going to consider a storyline, this is all hypothetical, where Matt Riddle were to retire Brock Lesnar, you would have to push him to the main roster, build that up in less than 10 months.
Yeah, I personally don't want to see that. But, as you lightly touched on earlier, I don't think I'm the target audience.
No. And here's the other thing, too. We're talking next year will be WrestleMania 36. Mm-hmm. Hypothetically. Matt Riddle versus Brock Lesnar, right?
Yeah.
Matt Riddle defeats him.
Sure.
Brock Lesnar walks out, and he's done. You then have in the history of accolades and accomplishments at WrestleMania, within 7 years' time, Matt Riddle standing tall, beating Brock Lesnar, who defeated The Undertaker. Yeah. So Matt Riddle is superior than both of them. That's a mind F.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
Andrea still wants to punch him in the face.
So she's just mad looking at him. Here, you can... Hold on.
Yeah, see, you should have stayed out here with us. You could have picked his nose.
For the visual audience, you're really missing out.
Yeah.
Do a solid. Check us out on twitch.tv.
It was a good match, though.
Ackerman.
Even if you didn't like Riddle. I figured Strong was going to lose.
Yeah, I can't say as I'm surprised by that either, necessarily. They're really weirdly inconsistent with their booking of Undisputed Era. In the same show, they'll make them look like an undefeatable powerhouse group, and then, somebody will lose over something stupid in the same show.
Yeah.
It was good for an opening match, too. Got the crowd going.
Blake says Vince wouldn't do that. He would probably set up another Undertaker-Brock rematch. I would rather watch Matt Riddle retire Brock. There's nothing at all to be gained by having a Brock Undertaker rematch.
No. Taker needs to stop having matches.
Yeah,
I love Taker, but he's been done for a few years. He should have been.
Yeah, I don't want to build up to discussing main roster stuff very much because obviously
so
this is
not why
NXT.
we're here. Yeah.
But I do want to say this. Undertaker has been, to this day even, one of my all-time favorite wrestlers ever. Any promotion, any gimmick, I don't care. I've always loved The Undertaker. He needs to retire and stay home. This match with him and Goldberg is ridiculous. Just hang it up and survive on residuals, man. Like, let the legacy be. I just stop. That's all I'm going to say on that.
He should have been done when Roman beat him.
Yes, when he folded his stuff up in the ring, he should have left for good right there.
It wasn't a good match, but that was a good...
It was a good ending.
Away part.
Bad match, great ending. Anyway.
So overall, I'd say it was an okay match. I agree with Trevor. It was a good opener. Got the crowd hype. More than that, it's not one that I'll go back to rewatch or be memorable.
Not really memorable, but not bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
That's one thing I can say actually about both of these guys. I've never really seen either one of them put on a bad match.
Yeah.
But this was not mind-blowing. It didn't... This match would not have convinced me to watch the rest of the pay-per-view if I wasn't already here watching it.
Right. So opening contest was 14 minutes, 45 seconds, a good solid. They're given. That's the thing about NXT too. They traditionally book 5 matches of their takeovers. They sometimes four. They each get about 30 minutes with entrance and match and everything for their section of the show to do their thing. That's traditionally what's happened. Some get a little bit more, some get a little bit less, but on average, everyone gets equal time, which is something that's been nice about NXT takeovers, the fairness.
Andrea says locks are better than the douche canoes. Thank you.
So since Andrea's hating on the visuals here, we're going to move into our next match, which was the ladder match for the vacant NXT Tag Team Championship. The teams are behind us if you're watching visually. We have, I'm just reading off the wiki here, it's not from left to right, but we have the Street Profits, which consists of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, Oni Lorcan, Danny Burch, 2 members of the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and the Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake, formerly of Blake and Murphy, and Steve Cutler. So those are
Buddy Murphy, Blake and Murphy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome for the
And the third member of the Forgotten Sons got involved too.
Yes. It's been in the last few weeks. I mean, our last podcast here, if you listen to that, was a lot of talk about ladder matches, hence Money in the Bank ladder match. Another ladder match here. I felt going into this one that it's going to be hard to top because there were a lot of real good highlights from Money in the Bank. I know a lot of people are upset about certain things, but that's fine. We talked about it in that episode. But I felt going into this, okay, let's do a ladder match. 8 dudes. Okay, let's see what you got. We got people who are going to go all out for this, and I feel like they delivered.
Yeah. That's another thing I'll say. When you guys, you and other people, were really trying to convince me to start watching NXT, because I was I barely wanted to watch main roster, and you guys were very much like, no, I promise NXT's worth it. Watch it. Yes. One of the first matches that I ever actually saw was for, I think when they debuted the North American Championship.
Yeah.
Was, I think, one of the first ones. And that had, Lars Sullivan was in it. The dude from Sanity, whose name I can't remember right now. The big Killian Dane.
Killian Dane.
He was in it. Ricochet, Adam Cole.
Baby.
And I don't remember who else off the top of my head anymore. But that match blew my freaking mind.
I think Dream was in it.
I do believe Dream was in it, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, ultimately, Adam Cole won that match. Spoiler alert.
Dream went on to take the belt from him.
True story.
Another spoiler alert.
But that's been one of the things that...
Blake says EC3 also.
Oh, yeah, that's right. EC3 was in that. That was the first time I ever saw him wrestle.
That blew my mind, too. I didn't know that you didn't know him from Impact.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of the guy.
Ethan Carter III.
Yeah, everybody had to explain him and his gimmick.
Yeah. If you don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But
I mean, you can go back
He's
and...
not even on the
we
show.
talked about that in a previous NOW podcast. We covered that takeover on a previous episode, didn't we?
I think we did, yes.
But so the moral of that story is every ladder match I've ever seen NXT guys do has just stepped the game up by comparison, And so going into this match, I was pretty excited, especially now you're doing tag teams for the tag team belts. And as somebody who watched through what might be still the golden age of tag team matches, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys, do all of their tables, ladders, and chairs stuff back in the day. I've always really loved these matches, and I feel like these guys always go out there and put it all on the line, but this match actually really delivered on my expectations as well.
Yeah, so for the results on this one, the deserving team I felt that really needs a push won. The Street Profits won this one. I felt they were, again, deserving. The crowd was into it. For some reason, the crowd all had red Solo Cups, too.
Surprise.
Hey, that worked out really well. It's one of those things I always wonder, do they give those as a plant? Because if so, you kind of just gave the audience a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Or just like, hey, cool, I got a free piece of merch.
Well, that's something that's part of their gimmick anyways, the Solo Cup, right?
That's what I'm saying, right.
So,
but
it's just...
Is it free merch, or is it, this is a spoiler?
Yeah.
So, cool moment visually for the cameras, for the audience there. It's like, well, fuck, now I know what's going to happen. Possibly.
Yeah.
Blake, answering chat here, they said they really wanted the Forgotten Sons.
I really thought Undisputed would win this one. I was surprised.
They've had the...
Yeah,
I thought, but they keep saying we're all going to be draped in gold. That's their thing. We're all going to have the gold.
Sure, build to it, though. Not all in one night. That's just my thought.
Well, and that thought plays out later on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Spoiler alert. So, basically, I mean, do you want to touch on anything else, Trevor, on that one?
Good match. Lots of good spots with the ladder. Actually using it. And when they won, they actually just went up and grabbed the belts and didn't sit there and, how do I unlock this for 20 minutes? There was never really one of those spots that you get in the main rosters.
Yeah, where the guy gets to the top of the
Fiddling
ladder
with
and
the
is like,
belt for
oh, wait, I'm on the wrong rung.
2 minutes and
Yeah.
just take the belt down.
I literally looked at Trevor when they pulled the belts down and I went, wait, that guy knew how to use the buttons?
He's scared. And Lana, so answering commentary in here, Lana watched with us, of course, being there at her home as well. She thought the ending, someone was scared off the ladder. So that was quite comical.
One of the Forgotten Sons was on it, and one of the Street Profits jumped to it. She missed where he hit him where he punched him, so he just looked like he got scared and fell.
Which honestly would have been great. I would have laughed at that.
Blake says, well, Roderick Strong didn't have a championship match, so it wouldn't have been all in one night. That is correct. What I mean, I didn't mean like most of them all win in one or have all of them in title matches in one. I'm saying more than one of them winning something in one show. You
spread it out.
Spread it out, do a slow build. Because one of my favorite and greatest storylines, I think, in the history of factions, if you will, is the rise and fall of Evolution. That was a good build and a good self-destruction because it was built piece by piece together, if you watched then. The dominant era, the egomaniac era, and then the rookie winning the championship, and then the dismantling bit by bit of it because you had Orton falling off because he won the belt.
Yeah.
Basically was removed. And then you had the egos and the powerhouses of Batista finally realizing that he shouldn't just be the muscle or...
he had more to offer than what they were using.
Yeah, he was being
for.
used, and so piece by piece it fell apart. And like that to me, and forever will be for now. Hopefully, you create something new out there to make me think otherwise. But that was a fun storyline in a period of time to watch. It was much better than DX. It was better storytelling.
I don't disagree. I have no strong disagreement with that.
DX had moments that are memorable. But as far as writing, and it's very generic too. Like don't make me say like this is elaborate idea. Like 4 dudes coming together, one gets pissed off and becomes better. Then okay, I'm gonna off you. That's basic.
Pretty normal.
Yeah. So it was executed, and they actually followed through with something, which is one of my consistent grievances for WWE storyline writers. They have an idea. They don't follow through with it, or they just drop it off or forget, or just take a weird turn.
I can't even... the main roster does it so much. It's always a blessing when it doesn't happen.
Yeah, when there's a payoff to the investment.
Fake Kane getting thrown out the back door of the arena, and that was the end of that angle, is probably one of my favorite, more modern references to that.
It's just so important to have that type of consistent storyline writing when you are a weekly episodic show.
Yeah.
Why else should I tune in week by week if you don't have something for me to tune in for, to find out more on?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you discover something new worked, and then you beat that new thing into the ground, and I think what happened is they had those moments where it was like the surprise turn worked real well, so then it was like every 2 to 3 weeks they had to have another surprise, and that meant that you couldn't ever build to anything.
Lana in chat mentions the Vince in the limo getting blown up.
Okay, there's actually a legitimate argument for why that storyline should have gone away, because that storyline happened right around somebody actually dying, and that's why they dropped it. Yeah, it was right around Benoit.
See, Lana says she knows why.
Yeah, okay, but it was very, very, very obvious. They're like, oh my God, Mr. McMahon's dead, and then the show went off the air, and then like 2 weeks later, was it, or was it a week?
It was
real
very
close.
short.
They were just like, there's Vince.
That weekend, and then Monday, everybody found out, and then
about Benoit. that one was a victim of poor timing, and we'll never know if that storyline was going to be good or not.
I'm going to question that if that's the same time frame, because I want to say it was later that they had done that storyline. And correct me, viewers, or anyone, if I'm wrong. I want to say it was around the time. I know, that's fine. I want to say it was around the $1 Million Challenge reward things that they were doing, and he wanted to get out of that story. Or was that with the thing collapsing?
That was where the thing collapsed.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm confusing those, because he's tried to kill himself multiple times on TV, so...
Yeah, no, I remember that one too because part of the bullshit stage
Yeah,
shit fell on him from it. Yeah,
Lana says I thought it was Vince too. Okay,
Yeah.
again, same character trying to off himself. They start to blur.
how can you be so on the money sometimes and then just be this blatantly wrong?
It's what I do. No one's perfect. So to recap,
You got a
though,
better memory for it than I do. I'll tell ya.
this match, the tag team one went 21:30, 21 minutes 30 seconds. So again, I'm just quoting time frames to let you know how much airtime people are actually getting here in this show.
Yeah.
It's going to be important for later in this show of why I'm doing this. I'll mention it when we get there.
Right on.
Our next match on the card, third one on the main pay-per-view, if you will, if you want to call it a pay-per-view. We'll just call it TakeOver.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of the way here. Prince Pretty. Right here.
Don't you block that man.
I'm trying not to. He needs more FaceTime than I do.
Oh.
So you're getting see-through.
Yeah, for those of you watching audio,
You have green on your shirt.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it when I got dressed today, but we set up a green screen, and the T-shirt I chose to wear has a bunch of green on it. So like every time I move, like
You're
you can
somewhat
kind of
see-through.
You
So
can't
yes,
see
for
through
you,
my shirt,
you people
sorry.
who want to watch us visually, this will be available on our YouTube channel as well as our highlights in Twitch. But
That's true.
that's
yeah.
if you're listening on a later date to our podcast. And if you are, thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
But this match was a singles match for the NXT North American Championship. Featured the champion Velveteen Dream against It's Tyler Prince Pretty Tyler Breeze. What's up, Noob and Co? Welcome to the chat.
Thanks for joining us, man.
June 11, 2007 is when Vince's limo was blown up, and June 24th is when Ben.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
that time from you. Again,
So it was a couple of weeks. It was longer than we thought, but it was still
it
real
was
close.
very close.
Yeah.
Way to go, Vince.
But this match, this is another one.
name redacted.
Yeah,
Can't
that's
say.
true. You
Can't
can't
say.
say Benoit anymore.
Yes, you can. I got a DVD from someone.
I know,
week.
but they don't talk about him on TV.
We're not on TV.
Not
We can
yet.
say whatever we want here. Try to censor me.
Public access, here we come. But anyway, this is another one. When in that ladder match we mentioned earlier, Velveteen Dream was one of the competitors, and that was kind of my first introduction to him. And pretty much from that moment forward, he's been one of my favorite stars on NXT.
That's great.
And I really feel like Tyler Breeze has been underappreciated for a long time too. I never saw him when he was on NXT before.
He had a fantastic run. He had his music video debut. Like, he was fantastic.
I heard he was real big on NXT, but I missed that altogether. I really only knew him from being part of the Fashion Police on main roster, which,
Funny gimmick.
Yeah, and they played into it real well.
Both of them misused.
Yeah, well, they did the best they
Underutilized.
could with the cards they were dealt.
Hey.
And consistently, and they consistently showed why they should be getting better. Every time that they got put in the ring, they put on a good match.
Acknowledgement from chat here. Fish, what does it say? Fish Servings? Is that their name?
Yeah.
Fish Serving. So I just
Yep.
didn't want to butcher it. Felt bad for Tyler Breeze. Felt he needed the win. Was a good match, though.
Yeah.
I agree. Honestly, if it wasn't for the title, I feel Tyler Breeze probably would have gotten the win.
Yeah.
Being that it's for the
I can see
title
that.
and they want to continue to push Dream in this title picture or the championship role, if you will, he wasn't going to win. Tyler Breeze needs a win. But also, this was an individual time for him to shine and really showcase his talents again and let himself potentially not get repackaged, but I don't even know how to describe it. Re-exposed to viewers in a positive,
reintroduced.
yeah, reintroduced or re-exposed in a positive way to showcase his talents. So it's not a repackaging because he's still the same gimmick.
Yeah,
he still
it's
has the
still
selfie
Prince Pretty.
cam.
It's still
But it's a nice return to form of great character and great in-ring talent for him.
yeah.
So a loss is a loss for him. But
Wins and losses don't matter.
in the grand scheme, they shouldn't. For some characters, they do, though.
Yeah.
They should matter.
Wins and losses should.
For the title pictures and that, they should.
Yeah. is a great
in
example.
WWE, they don't. 50-50 booking is a thing.
50-50 booking is very much a thing. But Lost is also way heavily on characters. The biggest example of damaged goods from that was Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
The most compelling...
Best character they had.
Best
and
character.
They just used awful.
And he would lose. But that's, again, main roster talk. I'm just showing examples. Overall, this was great back and forth. A lot of drama in the ring, as you would hope to expect in a wrestling match. That's why we're here.
Don't call Dream up. He'll be misused.
Yeah.
Vince will never get it right.
I agree.
Which
the
kills me.
selfie after was pretty funny, too.
Yeah. I thought that was actually a really good moment because it's so rare anymore where you get any acknowledgement of sportsmanship when the matches are over. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure backstage it happens, off camera.
Well,
but
but in front of everyone.
Yeah,
it's very rare.
It's so rare that they even acknowledge it one way or the other. And the worst part is that more often than not, the acknowledgement is one guy attacking the other.
Yeah, everyone's just pissed
And
off.
It's
selfie
bad
fits for
sportsmanship.
both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good ending moment. They took a selfie together and went on the screen, just like during his entrances. He normally the selfie stick, none this time because of storyline. But it was a cool moment. It was fun. It was if you've been a fan of the NXT product since the beginning, it was a fun, moment for him to come back home, if you will, and have that moment again. What his long term will be with this is unsure, but we'll see. I hope he gets a push, but it's a crowded world up on that main roster.
Yes, it is. That is unquestionable. But it was a good match, and that's, I think, especially for stuff like this, that's pretty much the most important part. Was a good show put on, and neither of these guys ever really disappoint.
No.
Dream, especially though, for me, I think. But
he's so young and has already put out so many highlight reel matches.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't know his roots, if you have the WWE Network, do yourself a solid. Go back and watch the season of Tough Enough he was on. He did not win the show. Spoiler alert. But you'll be thankful he did not because the individuals that did. I won't spoil it, but go watch.
Runners aren't on the show.
Right. Go
Women's
watch
runner-up is.
Yeah.
After we go off air, I'm going to demand you tell me who it is.
Okay. Long story short on this one, though, Velveteen Dream retained, defeated Tyler Breeze, as we mentioned. The match went 16 minutes, 50 seconds. So, again, really good amount of exposure compared to some of the main roster matches that go 2 minutes. So, there you go.
I can't. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, about that. Our next match on the card tonight was a singles match for the NXT Women's Championship. Shayna Baszler, the champion, going in against Io Shirai. Thoughts?
Decent match.
I have such a quandary with Baszler because her character and her gimmick annoy the crap out of me, and I'm over her, and I just want her to not have the belt anymore. But I can't deny that as an in-ring performer, she actually is pretty solid.
Improved so much.
Yeah, even just in the amount of time that I've been watching NXT, there's been a significant improvement in her performance.
No, I agree.
So I wasn't really expecting a ton, especially because she's a very grounded wrestler. A lot of her moves are submission or wearing you down to prepare for submission.
She's another one that's a former MMA fighter.
Yeah, sure. So you kind of expect that going in. So you're not going to get a whole lot of crazy high-flying stuff like you would have in the immediately prior match with Dream or Breeze. And you're not going to get a whole lot of serious power moves like you would get from some of your larger wrestlers either. You're going to get a very grounded but decently paced match out of somebody like her. And so for that, I can't complain. It wasn't boring. I didn't hate the match. I'm a huge fan of Io Shirai, though. Every time I've seen her in the ring, I love seeing her perform. I'm slightly sad that they called up Kairi Sane because the little bits that I was catching here and there, they were doing some real good work as a tag team.
I am not sad. You need to build her up so she is at WrestleMania next year so she can come out in the goddamn pirate ship that's already built in the stadium. If you don't do that, WWE, you have failed at everything you do.
1,000,000% agreed with you on that. That has to happen.
Yes.
The only thing I'm sad about is that they split those two up because they were really putting together some good work. And instead, what we got...
Sky Pirates?
Yeah, instead what we got tonight, instead of Shirai having somebody who made sense and had already laid a lot of groundwork of camaraderie to overcome Baszler and her two buddies, we got Gargano's wife.
Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's not terrible, but I don't know that there's enough
At least-
build-up between those two for that to
At least she
be
didn't
that
have
over.
interference to win this time.
True.
Yeah.
They used that a lot with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the other reason that I'm never really excited to watch any Baszler match, because there's always some kind of interference.
Well, they tried to use it tonight.
Yeah. It almost did exactly happen.
Yeah.
And I would argue that it still played a big role, because during the whole time that we were watching the interference take place, the attempted interference take place, and ultimately be defeated, so too was Shirai, instead of capitalizing on the moments she had to win the match.
Yeah.
You know, well, since that big message jumped real quick,
Yeah. Acknowledge Noob here. Here's a couple.
Noob said Raw does need those ratings, and a lot of people want to see Becky destroy another MMA fighter. And WWE needs to build the Kabuki Warriors up. Other than that, WWE is going to suck even further. I don't know that I can really disagree with either of those statements.
They need to build the Iconics up. They have the belts.
Yeah.
And they're not on her. When they are, they lose.
I was going to say, the Iconics were on recently, and they suffered a loss in a non-title match, obviously. But you shouldn't have your tag team champions taking losses. You should have them more in a dominant role to showcase the value of why you're the champions and of that belt.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on that. It's just very diminishing of it.
Yeah, I think it really brings the stock of the belts down, to say nothing of the champions themselves. I was not really happy to see the Iconics walk away with the titles in the first place, but if you're going to give them the belts, at least do something good with it.
I was.
No, I know you're happy, and like that's just a
soon.
personal preference thing.
Not too soon. That moment was
too soon to
iconic.
take the belts away from the first champions.
From the first champion.
Sure, but you
Give
have
it
to
to the
like
Iconics out of the gate.
Iconics
That
are
should have been
good.
the thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole separate show, both for us and for them.
And they said they were going to defend them on NXT. They haven't done that. I mean, the belts were going to be defended across all the brands. They have been defended on none of the brands.
Well, that's why now you have the 24/7 belt.
That has nothing to do with the women.
Well, it could.
Yeah.
It's not gender specific.
But are they going to have a man fight a woman?
Nia
Maybe.
Jax got in the Royal Rumble.
There you
Nia
go.
Jax is secretly a man.
I don't think you could say that.
That's a bold statement.
If she wants to say she's a man, she's allowed to say she's a man.
No, Becky's the man.
Yeah, you're mixing up gimmicks here.
But anyway, so my 2 cents, now that I've talked for 13 minutes, probably longer than the match went on.
It is actually.
It
The match
actually
went
went
12 minutes, 15 seconds. But I do want to add to your statements on the champion who retained.
Surprise.
Surprise. I can agree. She has grown since her debut. She's evolved and just, okay, you're a striker, you did some MMA. The one thing, and I mentioned this off show, and we had to talk about this for a little bit. The one thing that I still cannot stand is the promo work. She comes off very whiny, very complaining. The voice doesn't match the character or the gimmick. She has aggression visually that she's animated in the ring, attacking people and doing various things like that. I want her to have that same aggression,
Same
in her
energy
promo,
level on
the
the-
same energy with the promos.
On the mic as on the mat.
And it's not. It's very relaxed. It's kind of whiny, like, oh, I'm the champion. I do this,
should
and
respect
I have
me.
my girlfriends that will help me if I get into trouble. I'm the best. Like,
Yeah.
no, you're an MMA fighter. You're gonna beat the hell out of everyone that gets in your way. Where is that ferociousness on the mic? It's lacking. So if they could put that together, she is ready for the main roster. Until then, she is not ready, and I don't want to see her called up.
Oh, I didn't say I want to see her get called
No,
up. I
I'm
just
just
don't want her to
putting
be
it out there.
champion anymore.
Ronda's better than Shayna on the mic.
So we got a couple chats here.
I'm not saying
yeah.
she's great, but she's gotten a little better, especially when she went heel.
Yeah. Noob said SmackDown also needs to get those ratings up. Maybe have Ronda Rousey put her in great matches, like put her in a storyline between her and Asuka. That might help in both cases, I think, especially because Asuka's a seasoned performer from outside of WWE. Really kind of give her another perspective on how to do work in the ring. And then, as Trevor already responded, Noob said Ronda and Shayna are both bad on the mic, and they've both gotten better, but one of them significantly more so than the other, I would say.
Yeah.
So
Overall, though, as mentioned, 12 minutes, 15 seconds. Good match. Not the best of her title matches. I think she had better run against Kyrie during their feuds. And not to discount Io either. She did what she could with her opponent. A lot of times you do have that ring general in there that's going to carry the match, and then you have the other person.
yeah.
So, but our main... Everyone just turned off. Event. Singles match for the NXT Championship. Adam Cole
Baby
against Johnny
Wrestling.
Champion.
Men's champion.
This match
Johnny Takeover.
Yeah, it
was
is Johnny Takeover.
Johnny Takeover, Johnny Champion. End results. We're going to quick right to it.
And new. Adam Cole defeated Johnny Gargano. 32-minute exact match. This was another, second encounter now between these two.
Yeah.
The emotion that both of them are able to portray in ring, in promo work, and just in general. They deliver almost every time.
Yeah.
And they are definitely worthy of these championships that they are winning.
Yes.
This was match of the night.
Yeah.
Definitely match of the night.
Dream and Tyler were a close second, but
Very close second. Was this the best match in the championships that we've seen from Adam Cole or Gargano?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, those
But
Ciampa Gargano matches.
yeah.
Those were great. But again, the stuff that they're doing, 32 minutes is no short match by any means.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few that can do a 32-minute match and make it compelling and interesting.
Not have a bunch of rest holds.
Yeah, exactly. They kept it moving. There were big moves.
Yeah.
The only thing that I am kind of getting exhausted by is the amount of super kicks.
Yeah, that is a pretty heavily overused move in the industry right now, period.
Yes.
And it was something that actually led to kind of a comical conversation for us during the show tonight, too, when I pointed out that, again, as somebody who grew up and watched all the way through the Attitude and the Ruthless Aggression eras, you watched Shawn Michaels' evolution from a tag team wrestler as part of the Rockers and all of his moves involving Marty Jannetty being the big impact to he could super kick anybody and you're out. You catch a Shawn Michaels super kick, you're done. That match is over. And now it's just like somebody got too much momentum, better throw in a super kick real fast. That'll slow things down for about 45 seconds. And it's like, what are we supposed to believe that somehow Shawn Michaels knew the super secret way to twist your hip at just the right moment to knock a dude out with a kick? I mean,
But that's the sweet chin music.
it was the sweet chin music, and there was
The
nothing
difference
better
is
than watching
his
that
was
man
a
tune up the
finisher and
band.
the other ones are just moves.
Yeah,
It's true. He had his thing charged.
well, because he had to
Sounds weird.
tune up the band.
He tuned it
before-
up.
That
Yeah.
part right there, he built
That's it.
power.
He builds
Yeah.
up he charges.
It's like
special
rapidly smashing the A button before you do the move. But no, so I mean, the further back you go, the weirder it gets. The super kick now is about as effective as a leg drop was during that era when the leg drop was Hulk Hogan's finisher for like a decade.
Yeah.
So it's weird, but yeah, it is a very much overused move. I think it hurts people more than it helps in a lot of cases. Dolph Ziggler relied on it very heavily for a while, and
I mean, it's nice because it makes it pop. It's a big,
Yeah.
fancy-looking move. I
That's
get
true.
why it's used.
Yeah.
Sound.
But it's one of those things that if you overdo something, it loses its effectiveness.
well, and
its
especially
value.
because it's such an iconic move from that era that it leads everybody to wind up wanting to compare you to Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And, Shawn's a little bit on the past his prime side as well at this point, but if you could ever be compared to Shawn Michaels in a positive light, that's not an insult.
No.
It's...
Other highlights of this match for me were the incredible pile drivers. Like those were phenomenal.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge a few chats here. We're getting a couple behind. You want to read those off?
Well, Alan a minute ago said this match was phenomenal,
was.
which we
We
did
agree.
respond to. That is 100%. I agree with you there. Right before that, Noob said we're still waiting for the 4 Horsewomen versus 4 Horsewomen match, but
So let's talk on that because
You're waiting for it. I'm not.
I agree with
Two
Trevor.
of them are hot garbage in the ring.
So
I don't mean Rondo or Baszler.
I was to say who are the two that are hot garbage?
Let's jump back if we're going to go back to talking about the people involved there. You got at least Baszler on the screen.
Yeah, we'll jump back to that since that was a comment.
Yeah. I don't want to confuse people with leaving the, you know.
So the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen, whatever you want to cite that as, like.
Yeah.
I like that one of those teams are acknowledged as the 4 horsewomen. I don't like the other team that's being acknowledged, the very green and inexperienced team. And, as Trevor so kindly put it, the hot garbage duo.
I mean, they're the 4 horsewomen of MMA. They may be good in MMA. I never watched.
But this is not MMA.
Any of their matches.
Exactly.
I mean, I've seen a Rousey match because it was 30 seconds long and the whole clip was on YouTube.
Yeah, this is not MMA. I don't want to say that they have no business being here, but
they can improve. They
can improve, but to make that kind of a high stakes like storyline,
that match, if we're ever going to get it, I feel like we have to keep waiting for it. It has to be earned more than where it is right now.
It
we're
can't be
talking
forced.
At least another year, if not
Easily.
if not 2 or 3 before
Easily.
we could even contemplate it. And who knows what the landscape will be like at that point.
it could be very different.
I mean, right now, we don't even know if we have all 4 horsewomen in the company.
Right. We'll
As
find
it
out
is,
Monday with
you know?
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
And
the other one.
Sasha's not.
Sasha, that's what I was talking about.
So
yeah.
that may never happen.
Becky and Charlotte hate each other storyline wise.
Yeah.
These comments
they
we'll come back to because
switch
they're
in a
relevant to the
minute.
next
Okay,
match.
okay.
Yeah, we will come back to what was said in the chat when we get back to the match they were in reference to. But I mean, that's my feelings on it. I don't hate the idea. I think from a business and a marketing standpoint, yeah, we are waiting for that match. Whether it's good or bad has nothing to do with whether or not it'll put butts in seats, because you put those words on the marquee and you're going to sell to somebody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You're gonna make money off it.
Yeah.
But as a
view.
fan, I don't want to see that match. I don't care.
I have minimal interest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm barely invested in the existing WWE rosters for
I
horsewomen.
constantly forget their names. That's how.
You talking about the MMA or the?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the other two. I know Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, and I
Right.
do not know the other two's names.
That's what I'm saying.
But from the other 4, like, Charlotte's oversaturated right now.
Shafir is one of them. And
Arya Shafir or something like that.
I
Maria
don't know.
Shafir. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Charlotte's oversaturated. Sasha's on the sideline. Bayley's a champion all by herself. Leave that alone.
Yeah.
And so is Becky. There's no reason. There's no
need
build.
There's
Just
no
leave it
reason
alone.
to turn to it.
Literally, the only reason you would even feasibly be able to bring the 4 of them back together
You
narratively.
do an invasion.
Well, I think you could do that too, but I was going to say to put them against these other 4. But again, these 4, the MMA 4, haven't earned the right to face.
But
the
that's
WWE's 4.
why you do an invasion, and they take them out one by one, and then they come.
Then
together
they got to
and
come
take them
together as a
out.
team to take them back.
It's like the Nexus thing with the original NXT.
it is Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke.
Marina Shafir. That's what it is.
So let's go to the other ones that we have some other questions in chat real quick.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump back to the last match
main
and then
event again.
We'll
answer those.
Yeah. Let's get these chats out of the way here. Noob said super kick party, which is true. That happened a lot.
I'll touch on that one, Noob, for a little bit. Stick around with us. I got a lot to talk about Super Kick Party.
Yeah. Then we also had, how about Seth's super kick? Burn it down. Again, this is another wrestler who is, very heavily using the super kick when I don't think it's necessarily helping anything, It's not hurting anything, mind you, but it's just another example of like it's a go-to move. It's easy pop, and if you can't fill a moment otherwise, kick a dude in the jaw.
I get it. And I ain't mad about it. I'm just recognizing something that I had wanted to acknowledge, that it was just overused.
Alan said he loved all the near falls. I'll agree with you on that too. I feel like we don't get a whole lot of those anymore until the match is already at a point where I don't care anymore.
Right.
And it's just to wind out the clock, I feel, almost at that point is when you get those. And then the big one that pushed off the screen there, Alan said, I got a question on a count-out. Do both fighters have to be on the apron or in the actual ring? Because I always thought to break up a count, they had to be in the ring. I noticed the ref kind of hesitated counting. He got to 9 when Johnny got on the apron and paused, then Johnny got in the ring. The count-out rules, if you pay real close attention, are very liquid. Officially speaking, both wrestlers technically have to be in the ring to break the count. But more often than not, one goes in and can come back out, then it starts the count over. Mm-hmm. But they don't always restart the count. Yeah. And sometimes it'll be on
whatever
the apron.
favors the storyline.
Exactly. So
it's like rope breaks.
In the Dream Tyler match, Tyler got up to the ref and was talking to him, so that broke the count.
The ref forgot where he was. He had to start over.
No.
Yeah. So the count-out thing is very liquid, and there's never any explanation for which side we're on with it. So, it's whatever makes sense in the moment is what it boils down to.
So overall, unless you guys have any other final thoughts on this pay-per-view,
I did like when Adam Cole was crying to look like he was calling the rest of Undisputed Era out, so that made Gargano get the chair and just wait, and that gave
Cole time to rest. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a clever move, and it did not ultimately lead to a bunch of people interfering in a championship match. Weird how that made the match better and not worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. That's all I got on that one. It was a great match from two really great wrestlers. I'm never disappointed watching either of these guys work.
No, not at all. Overall, I think it was a really solid takeover. One of the better ones. Maybe one day we'll rank the 25. I would not put this at my top, but it is one of the better ones.
I haven't seen all 25, so
we'll just have to. We'll have to have a weekend where we just marathon them all.
No, overall, it was good though.
Yeah, no complaints.
I'm rarely short. We could do that.
It's true.
Like WrestleMania.
You could not marathon WrestleMania.
You can get 4 takeovers in before finishing one WrestleMania.
How long they are now. So that was TakeOver 25, and this was based out of Connecticut.
Huh.
So Webster Bank Arena, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Right on.
So for those wondering, for archival purposes, this took place on June 1st, 2019. So this was on this date, which is today. Because we're recording it today.
You started off pretty strong and then meandered a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I do. I always have my brain sometimes is like, this is good, speak that. And then you're like, yeah, I can't speak that. Don't do that one.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we want to talk about is that little elephant in the room. Oh, we got wrestling action behind us. There is a brand new company that had a pay-per-view called Double or
Nothing.
And it was not nothing.
No, it not.
It was something. And boy, hopefully we have some things to say. If not, well, this is just kind of going to be really just rambling.
I'm actually really, really interested to get your take on this because sometimes you do this thing to me where I'll say, you should check this out. And completely straight face, she'd be like, no, that looks stupid. I don't want to.
We going match by match?
I got nothing of that.
Yeah.
Are we starting with the pre-show?
Yeah, we're gonna work our way down.
I missed the pre-show, so
Either
I won't have a whole lot to see it.
Yeah,
I was the only one.
I did not. I watched highlights of the pre-show. I know who won.
But the point is, you were very resistant in our conversations to even bothering with this show originally. So now that you have actually watched it, I would like to.
So
I really want to hear your
truth
thoughts.
moment here. Truth moment.
Mm-hmm.
I am a lifelong WWE supporter. Mm-hmm. I always sometimes feel personally attacked when someone would try to compare, especially in the Attitude Era, that WCW was better. I was like, no, you're wrong. I watched both shows.
Yeah.
But my show was WWF at that time.
Yes.
And I liked the talent better. I liked everything that was happening. I was very biased. And again, I would watch the other program to get a snake and be up on the lingo, or if somebody was coming over and back and forth. Or
yeah, because that happened.
It happened a lot. But I always feel like WWE is personal to me. Like it's my obsession. For those that know anything about me, the one first fact you'll probably learn, well, maybe two. This dude likes video games. That's me. And this dude likes wrestling.
And he likes to drink.
I don't really drink that much, but there's the floating beer. But those are the facts that are most important to me for
Just
a
on
constant.
streams.
I also loved music a lot throughout life. I was a musician, played in bands, but
Sure.
the constant in life that I was always been a part of it was video games and wrestling. And it's great that I found a way to combine those things with a thing I also enjoy doing, which is film and creative things. And then you have this little show. So it's just funny how those...
What's that?
What is that? You're on that show.
The best brand.
Tune in Wednesday to find out.
Indeed. So that's the thing. So I always like when I see like Impact or people talking about, oh, that's better, you should watch it. Like, motherfucking no. Or like AEW
was
now
never better.
with all the what Rick likes to refer to, which I got him on. Him and I go back and forth on this. We call people sheep. So when we hate on something, we're like, oh, all you stupid sheep, go over there. So we've often referenced like AEW and all the stupid marks or sheep wrestling fans. You're gonna go watch this now because it's new and hot and it's exciting. So again, that's why I have a stance on a lot of things. This is probably why you're having a hard time reading me too, because there's a very likelihood that I'm gonna
Just shit all over
this in a few moments. There's a good likelihood, but maybe not. So. With that being said, Trevor, let's kick you off here since you watched it, the pre-show. Neither of us did.
I saw highlights of what they showed during the main show from the pre-show, and that's it.
So the first match was a 21-man casino battle royale. The winner would receive an AEW, which stands for All Elite Wrestling, for those wondering. An AEW World Championship match against the winner of Double or Nothing's main event at a future show called All Out, which is taking place over Labor Day weekend in Chicago.
Well, I'm trying to get that NOW sponsor.
And then not sponsor.
Every episode.
Tickets go on sale for that June 14th, and good luck. Double or Nothing sold out in about 4 minutes.
Yeah, that sold out real fast.
So let's kick it over to Trevor.
What do you got?
There was a lot of guys I didn't know. There was a lot of guys on the show I didn't know. So, but a lot of good stuff. Some goofy stuff. What you need that in the show. Pretty good overall, and some stuff that made me really laugh.
So what I want to say
Appropriately, probably.
I do want to introduce the match because Casino Battle Royal is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
What the F does that mean?
That was a good question that I don't know the answer to.
5 wrestlers start the match. Every 3 minutes, 5 more wrestlers enter. The 21st and final entrant entered alone.
Yeah, they had playing cards, and where you entered was based on the suit. The Diamonds came in second. I don't remember who was in the first, and then next suit, and then the Joker was your 21st entrant, the last man in.
That's actually kind of a cool gimmick,
Which
I'm not
was
gonna lie.
Hangman Page.
And why is this gimmick so important, you ask? Well, this pay-per-view took place in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So heavy influence of gambling, and they're taking a gamble. Like there's so much
Yeah.
here. They're taking a gamble with this show. Double or Nothing. Alan here in chat says, speaking of that match, that guy Sunny Days wrestled in my hometown a couple months ago before AEW signed him. That's cool. Did you get a chance to see that show, Alan?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So breaking down the entrances, like you said,
That
by
was
the
the
faces.
guy that was slamming his butt into the other guy that I believe he is either portrayed as gay or is gay. I didn't really look him up.
You just don't know much
Whatever.
about him.
yeah.
So here are the entrances by the faces, you say. Clubs, diamonds, obviously hearts, and spades in your Joker. We'll start with clubs. We had Dustin Thomas, who came in at number 10. MJF came in at number 20.
MJF was the star of this. He was phenomenal. I never knew the guy, but this and what he does later on, he's going to be...
A big name,
he
you
should be a
think?
big name in their company. He's a great heel. He got
Didn't
some heat.
MJF was the one that cut a promo later, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
during the belt.
Okay.
Yep.
Which we'll get on as well, too.
Yep.
Don't let me forget to talk about that because it's not on the wiki here. Sunny Days came in at number 2. Brandon Cutler, 12. Michael Nakazawa was the first entrant. Our Diamonds, Isaiah Cassidy, number 5. Jimmy.
Nakazawa poured oil all over himself, which was a little weird. But I guess so people couldn't grab him, but then I think that's actually how he lost because his hand slipped off the rope.
Interesting. Jimmy Havoc, who still thinks that AFI is a relevant band. I know they're fans of Jimmy Havoc. I just have to say that because
That guy is kind of crazy.
he's very
stapling
crazy.
people.
He staples, yes.
Stapled somebody in the nuts.
Yeah. Wait, I know they're a Jimmy Havoc fan. I'm not crapping on him. I'm just making fun because it's funny.
I'd never seen the guy before seeing him in this show, and I'm actually kind of interested to see his gimmick
He's
later
been in
on.
a lot of death matches, is what they said in Japan. That's something that Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, whatever you want to call him, did too before he went to WWE.
Huh.
So that's like people's dream match, I guess, a death match between those two.
Interesting.
That
Well,
might happen.
maybe it could happen now.
Joey Janela, Brian Pillman Jr., who we saw in NXT for a short period of time. He is now here. Sean Spears, for those who doesn't know or don't know who that is, he is the perfect 10. Ty Dillinger is now AEW. The Hearts, Billy Gunn, yes, that Billy Gunn.
He was actually in the match? Huh.
Yes, Mr. Ass.
He was number 11. Number 3, yes, this is real life, Glacier.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's a real thing that happened. Here we go again.
Sub-Zero Light.
Yes. Number 17, Jungle Boy. For those that don't know who
Luke
Jungle
Perry.
Boy is, exactly, Luke Perry's son.
I did not know that.
He, minus the hair, which is bad, by the way, but I get it, gimmick. He looks identical.
Yeah, once they said it, I immediately was like, yeah, no, I see that.
His tag partner's in this match too.
Everyone remembers Glacier.
Yeah,
though.
Alan says Glacier also wrestled in my hometown.
Glacier wrestled everywhere, I think.
Yeah. Mark, I can't, is it Queen? I don't know how it's pronounced. Ace Romero. Luchasaurus was a spade.
That's his tag partner.
Yeah.
Jungle Boys. They're a boy and his dinosaur.
Yeah.
Nice.
Marco Stunt. Sonny Kiss. Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
Some of these, it just makes me sad. Like some of the people are
Dreamer
still
doesn't
around.
look bad though. He doesn't look.
He doesn't
I
look
mean,
much
he's
different
he's
than he ever looked.
He was never the greatest wrestler. He's hardcore. And he did hardcore stuff in the match. So
He's a name value. Will he
Yeah.
make a difference in this company?
No.
No.
Not from a...
he's gonna help train.
Yeah.
Sure. And like I said, that's
That's
where
what
he'll
Billy
make
Not
Gunn
from an
is there for
not
also.
from an in-ring perspective. Behind the
Right.
scenes, maybe. Certainly, I think. But on
Noob and
screen,
Chat says
no.
Glacier should have been a Mortal Kombat character.
He was trying to be a Mortal Kombat character.
They had 3 of them in WCW. It was Mortis and Wrath.
Yeah.
And they were all just ninjas. None of them were that great.
No.
Mortis and Wrath were Canyon and Adam Bomb.
Who better
Yeah.
than Canyon?
Nobody.
Yeah, see how you doing.
And he's dead now. So
Yeah, everybody better than him now. Yikes. Orange Cassidy was also spayed. And then our Joker, who ended up winning, Adam Page.
Hangman.
Baby.
That Orange Cassidy guy was.
Wrong
I
guy.
don't understand his gimmick. He came in really slowly and he just moved really slowly. And you were. I didn't understand the gimmick, but I've never seen it before, so maybe I need to watch something to know what his gimmick really was.
So, I mean, you mentioned people doing, like, weird headbutts, stapling, like, you also had an individual that was missing his legs.
Yeah, he had no bottom half of his legs.
There was
and
offensive comments being made.
Yeah, he was being stomped on and called Lieutenant Dan, but he did a 619 that was pretty amazing. He walked on his hands basically and jumped up, grabbed the rope, and kicked him with what part of his legs he does have.
And keep in mind, these individuals packed together in a ring is the first thing going on air, even as the pre-show, to kick off potentially one of the biggest chances and risks for a company. Like, this is what's kicking things off.
Yeah. Alan, that was a cool move.
Like, I was getting updates. Was it from you? It was from somebody.
It was from Trevor through me.
Yeah,
because he
it's
was
like, this
telling
is
me
happening.
about it.
And I'm like, what is going on with this show? This
Honestly,
is
that was my same reaction. That's why I was. He was giving me those updates, and I was like, I don't think I care about this show now. that's ridiculous in the extreme. And then
it's a bit absurd.
I kept hearing stuff about the rest of the show, and that's what actually made me sit down and watch it. But I never even bothered to go back for the pre-show because I was like, this is Doink the Clown, like
It's
switching places
weird.
with Doink the Clown.
Luchasaurus really looked good though too.
Yeah, the clips I saw actually of a lot of the match were not bad. Like,
Yeah.
I judged the whole thing based on the couple of bizarre things that I got told about it, which I guess I shouldn't have, but...
Yeah, I wasn't telling you, like, everything. I was just like...
No, I know, but
no,
I was just
those
like,
are notable
ridiculous.
things
Those
to
are
share
very
with
notable,
somebody.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to share that with someone because
You-
you're like, what am I watching myself?
Like, I had nobody else. I never really messaged you that often, but I was like,
I mean, feel
Rob.
free to. I don't mind.
I
give the
always
same
think of
response.
Rob when I think of wrestling because
We've talked about
we
it a
talk
lot.
about
yeah.
wrestling. I watch it at his house sometimes. And
Now you
I-
can think of this guy.
Real quick, I want to address this question from the chat, or the statement from the chat, because I have a question. Alan says, I thought he was a fan who snuck into the match. Are you talking about the
guy with
no legs? And while we wait for him to respond to that, I'm just going to throw this out so we can clear it up real quick. Alan also asked, I don't know if y'all are going to talk about it or not, but is NOW and nOw both going to be 5 matches now? And the answer is yes.
Correct.
Except for pay-per-views.
And yes, he was talking about the guy. Yeah, pay-per-views will still be 7 matches, but the weekly shows are down to 5 now.
Yep. So it's ever more important that you utilize strands well if you want to get booked. And one of the things the general managers are reviewing is who is watching and participating. Those will get favored when it comes to booking.
The more you watch, the more you're in the ring.
You know, win or losses do not matter to either of the general managers or shows. Doesn't matter if you're losing.
As long as you're there.
Yep. So to address that,
Yep.
for those wondering,
back
for
to
the
the
for the
pay-per-views,
audio podcast, we are the Nerds of Wrestling, but we also are Dose of Nerd Acumen. We're a channel on Twitch primarily that airs a weekly show called The Weekly Dosage, where we play a variety of games, currently Jackbox games, and then other content that we produce currently is a wrestling show based on the game 2K19, WWE 2K19 that is, on the Xbox One, where we have all our reviewers of the show participate as wrestlers. So if that's something that interests you, shout us out on social media platforms and we'll tell you how to get involved. So a little bit of housekeeping on that. So again, Adam Page winning that match by last eliminating MJF, excuse me. They will earn a chance at the first AEW. See, I'm like programmed now to
Yeah.
say it that way. AEW World Championship match against the winner of the main event. So we already know Adam Page is competing as one of the half at that point.
Yep.
Last thoughts on that before we move on?
I had heard of Hangman Page because he's part of the Elite. I've watched some New Japan stuff, and they talk about it. And yeah, he looked pretty good. I've never seen one of his matches, but I think he'll be good. And
I think,
MJF and Luchasaurus, all 3 looked like they're really good.
yeah.
I've heard people like Jungle Boy. I didn't really see much about him. It was a lot going on in the match. I mean, obviously, Battle Royals get a lot of people going. So
Yeah, very busy. I think to
decent opener though.
Yeah. I think I agree with you as far as Adam Page. He's going to be a good main eventer and a good potential first champion for AEW. So let's hope that happens. That's my preface to thoughts later.
Yeah.
Our next one on the pre-show was Kip Sabian against Sammy Guevara. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. Some of these talent I'm not familiar with, and that is one of them.
A lot of these guys I'm not familiar with, if I'm being honest.
I didn't know either of these.
What'd you think of the match?
It was decent. I've heard they both put on better matches before, and they are more talented than what they showed, but not a bad match. Not a great match, like, oh, I can remember stuff, but Sammy Guevara came out with panda stuff on, and they were like, he skinned a panda, so that was pretty funny.
Oh, God.
All right, then.
He had a hat that was a panda's head. And
Noob said Luchasaurus has a college degree.
He does. It's true. So, I mean, pre-show, is this like enough to get you hyped to spend, what was it, $50 to have this on pay-per-view?
Based just on the pre-show?
Yeah, because that's ultimately that's what a pre-show is for, right? They want you to buy the show.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have based on the pre-show, being honest.
knowing the rest of the matches, I mean, maybe, but
Well, knowing what I know now, yeah.
no, but the card, just seeing the card.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like the ones I didn't know, but maybe, but I didn't.
All right, so let's transition into the main show. One thing that I do want to acknowledge is some of the personnel that put the show on. Your in-ring announcer is a voice that you should be pretty familiar with if you watch SmackDown over the years, as well as various Raw things, but primarily SmackDown. He was the ring announcer for WWE for many, many years, and his name is Justin Roberts. Very iconic, very good ring announcer. Ultimately, it's not the direction they want to keep going. I don't know what else happened with him and his WWE contract. He's just not there.
Yeah.
Who
Who knows what happens with most of these guys anymore, honestly.
So he's a great one to have as a ring announcer, whether he's full-time or what for them. I'm okay with it. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
Commentators, I'll be honest, I don't know who Alex Marvez is, but he sounded very similar to, if it was him, to Mauro Ranallo. He had Excalibur. And then Jim Ross. So you might be familiar with him if you're a wrestling fan.
Maybe. You might have heard of that guy.
And then during the women's Fatal 4-Way, we had Allie. She was someone that wrestled for Impact. She used to go by Allie Impact.
Actually, that was the handle that she was in the little nameplate on the pay-per-view.
She was still going by the name?
It's Allie Impact.
Okay, so she's still utilizing that.
I guess, yeah.
So I don't know if it's a full contract then or joint. I don't understand how their contracts are working yet.
Yeah, I don't either.
WWE is very strict, no compete.
Yep.
Whereas Ring of Honor has had partnerships in New Japan. Same with Impact, they've had partnerships. Most actual other organizations have partnerships. Lucha Underground. You see people competing on multiple things.
Right now, I think they have a partnership with some Japanese-based promotion, not New Japan. That's
Okay.
where the 3 guys in this first match are from.
Okay.
And they're letting, I know Moxley is allowed to dig indie events up until they start having their...
We don't know who that is yet.
Everybody knows
Who?
that.
Noop said
Anyway.
Allie is now a commentator.
Okay.
I thought she was slated to wrestle somebody later this year.
Yeah, I thought
something
she was
read,
a competitive contract, but good information to know.
I think
So-
Brandy Rhodes is what they were saying she was going to fight
That'd
during
be
the
a good
second match. But up until the TV deal starts, they can take New Japan and any of the other indie scene they want to. Is what
They're just
I
hiring
think they
for
were
one-offs.
talking about. No, they're under contract, but they can. But until they actually start having the TV show, they're like, just do what you want until then, because what are they going to do?
Yeah, would you sit on your
Otherwise,
thumbs until then?
Yeah,
Keep
right.
them-
That's a lot of downtime.
keep their names on people's minds and stuff.
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's going to help them too to keep it's promoting
Visibility.
Yeah, it's smart. Referees, we had multiple, but one of the most notable ones was
Earl Hebner.
Earl Hebner was there.
Yeah.
He went over to him and his son actually went over to Impact for a long time after leaving WWE. So they've been in the business a long time. So again, you're seeing. I'm gonna describe it as a parallel to Impact, since I've already talked about Impact. We'll talk about the folding of WCW in 2001. A lot of people were left without jobs. Not everyone's contracts were picked up. Some were still getting paid by the Time Warner merger, and they could sit on their asses for however long their contracts were.
Yeah.
Others had money and wanted to continue wrestling and didn't want anything to do with WWE, WWF at the time. And Impact with Jarrett and friends was ultimately launched.
Jared and Friends.
Well, I mean,
I know what you meant. It's just one of those.
it was ultimately launched, and it featured a lot of talent like this from other companies coming together to make something new and exciting that was going to generate an impact in the wrestling scene and not let WWE become this world dominant brand. Okay, I've seen this before. That is why I have such hesitation and understanding of what is happening right now. And I'm seeing what, again, which I said Rick and I myself have described as sheep, happened before.
Sure.
I'm just thinking long term, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Will this kill WWE? That's
No, I
the
don't think
easiest
so.
question to ask and
I really
answer.
don't think so.
No. But everyone's real response, if you're
I
a
think
wrestling
it'll do
fan,
good.
it'll create competition.
Yeah, that's
what I want.
even if AEW doesn't survive at all, if they fully go under and all these guys go their separate ways to other promotions, as long as it actually drives WWE to get off their ass and make a better product again, that's all. More than anything, that's what I want. Like you, I grew up a hardcore WWF fan. I did watch both shows during the Monday Night Wars. I may have liked Nitro a little more than you did, but Raw was my go-to. Raw was
I
always
watched
the
both.
better program to me.
If one was on commercial, I flicked to the other. If one had a boring match, I flicked to the other.
Yeah. But once I flipped over to Nitro, every now and again I'd flip back to Raw to see if it was back from commercial.
Yeah.
My preference was always for Raw.
They only had 1 hour of overlap. It was 8 to
Yeah.
10 and 9 to 11.
For a while, but Nitro ended up going 8 to 11.
Yeah.
Because Raw
But-
never did 3 hours until around other than a couple specials, I think they didn't do it until the 1000th episode on.
Yeah. But so that all being said, I mean, even at the peak when NWO was taking over everything, period. And I loved most of the guys in the NWO. Sting is in my top 10, I'll say, wrestlers of all time. Kevin Nash, not a great wrestler, but a great character. I always loved Kevin Nash. Scott Hall, you know what I mean? Like there were a lot of guys that I loved, and I still preferred WWE. You know what I mean? And so
Younger talent, new.
yeah, and so that being said,
That's what worries me here too about AEW. We'll talk about that throughout
Yeah.
this show.
but Jericho actually is a really great segue here because we're going to talk about him anyway because he's part of this show.
Very
But
much so.
that's what happened with some of the stuff in the Monday Night Wars was that's how you got stuff like Jericho being underutilized on WCW and coming over to WWF and really making a name for himself. Elevated
At first,
long term.
Yeah, okay.
His career is now up there in damn
It
near
is.
legendary
Yeah,
status.
yeah. But it was a rough start.
I mean, he interrupted The Rock, so they clearly had some faith in him at
Debut,
least.
perfect.
Yeah,
From a few months after
yeah.
that.
His debut actually stands in my mind as one of the greatest of all time.
I agree with
Jericho's
you.
WWF
I
debut.
agree with you,
It's
100%.
So good. But the point I'm trying to make here...
We could have a
is-
topic on that
yes.
one.
The point I'm trying to make here is what I hope AEW does is, at the very least, exactly what WCW did in that time. Whether it's wrestlers jumping from promotion to promotion, or if it's simply WWE going, oh, we actually have some competition that people care about. It doesn't matter if the program's good. It matters if the public cares about it.
Right.
And if the public cares about AEW, then WWE has no choice but to try to up the game to be like, you don't need them. We're better. Come home.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I don't ever want to see the competition go away because I feel like WWE has always done its best work when there's somebody to compete against.
Yes.
But that's what I want. I want them to get better. Like, I don't mind necessarily that it's quote-unquote sterilized the way a lot of people refer to the product today. I don't need the blood. I don't need women in bra and panty pudding matches to enjoy that.
Just kidding. That's not what you told me
Women's
before.
wrestling has come up a lot.
Yes, and even more to
Yeah.
my point, I don't need or want those things because I feel like that would be a landslide backwards.
I think
For a
blood
lot of
would be
this stuff.
fine once in a while on this show.
Sure.
Don't pull it out every show,
Yeah, you don't need
every pay-per-view.
you don't need somebody with hamburger face.
No.
But
Right,
but
you
the,
got
when
Daniel
necessary
Bryan with
to tell a
hamburger
story.
chest.
yeah, we don't need to roll back to the Attitude of Ruthless Aggression era for the
No.
content to be good. We just need them to give a shit about the fans, and I feel like right now they don't.
Stories that make sense.
Stories that continue past 3 weeks.
Not the same match every week.
Yeah,
50,
but anyway,
50.
so I mean that's my 2 cents. Is it's not. I
What
don't.
You were saying though, Impact and AEW. I think AEW has two things going for it that Impact doesn't. One, the TV. They're on TNT, established, well known. They've had wrestling before,
WCW.
Well, here's the thing with that. They have Tony Khan.
and that was the other.
They have
A
financial backing. You have the son of a guy who is ranked 65th or something.
Richer than Vince.
Richer than Vince. Yeah, his net worth was like $6.8 billion.
I mean,
And they have a history of successful business moves.
TNA had Spike TV, which is decent now, but at the time that was a new station. They took over. They changed brands or something, and they didn't have.
Spike has
nothing.
been like 3 different channels at some point. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and it was
Yes.
the channel for men, and that was what they had as Impact. And Impact had that 6-sided ring and tried to do a lot of stuff.
I never understood. That was weird.
I mean, it was different. That's what they were trying to stand out, and it just
Didn't work.
it didn't work as well
Yeah.
because you can't do the moves the same. I guess I don't know. I'm not a wrestler, so I
It was very different. It felt like American Gladiators. Like, it's just very, very. Even though wrestling is gimmicky, it felt
More
super.
so than
yeah,
normal.
it felt super
Yeah.
good, and it didn't help.
I
that
don't
it was
think
in a
it's
especially
studio
when
audience.
they hired Vince Russo.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't help, but it didn't help. They were in a
The
studio.
reverse battle royal.
Like, studio
Trying to get into
audiences
the ring.
didn't work. The only way like studio audiences have worked in recent history is somehow it has worked for NXT.
AEW don't hire Vince Russo. That's what brought down WCW. Mm-hmm. Judy Bagwell on a pole match, anyone?
Was it a plant to bring it down, though? There's that debate.
Yeah, that's long been a rumor. Two things Noob said in chat just now. He said, just give us wrestling without the blood and the bra and panties matches. And that's what I'm saying. We don't need that crap.
No.
I mean, I'm not going to suddenly decide I hate the show if it does start going in that direction.
It doesn't
Because
need
I didn't
to, anyway.
hate it when it had it. I didn't hate it when it went away.
The bra and
I hate it
panties
when they
stuff-
don't care. And that's
No, we don't need that.
and that's my
Like
point. I
said,
feel like
the
if you
blood's
go
fine
back
once
to
in a
that
while.
stuff at this point, you're just proving that you don't care to listen to us. You care to retry the shit that worked for you before. And that
5-bit
doesn't work.
donation. Shout out to chat. Hip hip.
Hooray! Thanks,
Thank you
Alan.
for the donation. We appreciate that.
And then the other thing Noob said was Impact Wrestling was ECW light, and I feel like that's
Because blood can definitely enhance a match.
I mean, Impact was very
well because it
good.
raises the stakes.
The match
little
on this
bit,
card
you know.
that we'll get to,
Oh yeah, that's
Austin and Bret Hart.
again
passing
storyline.
out in the
It's
blood.
important
Yeah.
for specific
Yeah,
things. It's
don't
not
just use it like
to use it.
every match, like I said.
Oh no, he went for a splash in the corner and the guy moved and now his
His
face is
bloody,
broke
yeah, just-
open.
it
Ric
was-
Flairing.
Yeah.
You look at him.
You
he
look
bleeds.
Ric Flair and he's bleeding again. Oh no.
Let's kick off our show, though. We have here, and we're going to talk about the times. The pre-show, 16 minutes for that Battle Royale, and the singles match was 10 minutes. Again, I'm talking about importance of time frames given to talent here. That was my statement earlier that I said I was going to get to, and this is something I want everyone to keep note here. These times, everyone is getting time to shine, unlike WWE. where
And
you have
the
squash
pacing
matches.
of this show, it wasn't 30 minutes of talking like we get on Raw at the beginning.
It was match.
It was match. There was a few like talking segments to like show you how this match came about, so you got the story, which is
that's-
needed, but there wasn't
I want
40 minutes of opening, a 2-minute Shane match, and then another 40 minutes of talking.
Well, and there's not promo after promo after promo about your own product that you're already
Yeah.
watching. So here's the thing, too. With that, you mentioned vignettes or segments. The one thing that's different about this show right now compared to what it will be doing in the fall with the TV deal, and this is very important to recognize, all the promos were primarily done in locations not in a wrestling ring, stadium, or thing. They were interviews, snippets of them doing various things, training, and it felt like a fight, like a super card. Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel like a build up from an episodic program, which is what WWE utilizes their marketing material for, because that's what they are. This will change for this product in the fall, I guarantee it.
Yeah,
because you will
I mean,
have
they have to have promos and storylines.
you have to, but that's why it was so driven. They were able to condense a story, tell what they needed to do, get on to the next match, while the others got out of the ring to prep the ones for
Oh,
the
they
next
did
thing.
tell stories in other promotions, Ring of Honor, not Ring of Honor maybe, but I don't know. But they did do other matches with guys showing up, and there's stuff on YouTube about it and
Yeah.
stuff. So they do have the storylines, and then they just didn't put it all on the show because then the show would have been 9 hours like what.
Yeah, it was almost 4 hour show. With this pre-show, it was over 4.
Yeah.
But again, I just want to point that out because that's important because that will change come this fall.
Probably, yeah. Well, definitely.
Yeah. Our opening contest, 13 minutes 40 seconds, featured a 6-man tag team, SoCal Uncensored, which is actually conveniently behind us if you're visually watching right now. That team consists of the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels. If you're an Impact fan, you will know very well who he is.
I wasn't an
Also,
Impact fan, but I
Ring of
watched
Honor.
him, seen him.
He's competed a lot. He is on the older side as far as competitors. Frankie Kazarian, another one that's a ring veteran here.
He was
Ring
in
of Honor.
WWE at one time,
He-
but they
he
released
was.
him and he went to Impact.
He was Impact. I believe he was Suicide. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
That sounds right.
And then Scorpio Sky. So again,
Oh, that guy.
ring veterans here to kick things off. Alan confirming that. Perfect. Ring veterans for this first team. The one thing I didn't like, to be honest with you, was their shtick, their gimmick.
The SoCal Uncensored.
Yeah, I don't. The fans liked it that were there.
I mean, they're 3 guys from
It feels-
California.
It feels very similar to not the exact same thing, but the exact a similar kind of mentality to Matt Riddle. Like it's a very not
They weren't as
Brotherhood-y.
annoying as
well,
Matt
it's not
Riddle.
well, yeah, it's not like poop joke lowbrow, but it's like common denominator lowbrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just knowing what those individuals has done as far as gimmicks to come to this, because I hadn't watched them in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that Christopher Daniels was in Ring of Honor, I think one of the most recent things that I'd watched of his anyways, where he had ventured on from boom to boom to boom, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But knowing what he has done, to see him in this form with this trio, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, cool. You're reinventing, but it was weird.
I think this is actually one of, and this was something that I thought about when I knew we were going to have these conversations anyway. I came into all 6 of these guys blind.
Okay.
I recognized the names of Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian because I'd heard him in the past, but looking at them, I didn't.
Do
you know
yourself
what I mean?
a solid. Go back and find some tapes. I have some actually. If you want some old TNA stuff, the X Division, AJ Styles, Daniels.
Well, and see, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with them having a history in the business, but I didn't have any of their previous gimmicks to say compare these gimmicks to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was gifted 10 minutes of them bullshitting on the mic to build into the gimmick. So I came into this match not comparing their current gimmick to an old one and really only caring about what are these guys going to do in the ring. And so for me, this is one of those rare occasions where coming in blind actually really kind of played to my advantage. You know, I had no preconceived notions. I didn't know what these guys, how they were going to act, what their moves might be. I mean, I kind of got a guess that Scorpio Sky might be a little bit of a high flyer guy, what with the name Sky and all.
Let's hope so. He just never jumps.
Not just 1 foot on the ground at all times.
That's his dream.
Yes. And he did not disappoint.
No.
You know, and I'm sure we'll discuss that in a second. But like that's what I mean. Like, this is one of those rare occasions where I didn't know anything about these guys, and I think it helped my ability to enjoy this match a lot.
Yeah, the other team in this, since we spoke so heavily on SoCal and Censor, is only because I'm so much more familiar with them.
Sure.
The Strong Hearts, Seema T-Hawk, and Al Lindemann. I don't know a lot about them.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shima, T-Hawk, and Lindemann. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the match itself I could speak on. It was a good paced match. You had a lot of moves. For being ring veterans, they were able to kick off the main show and perform. SoCal Uncensored ended up picking up the win, which you wanted them to anyways. They got the pop when they came out. They're the fan favorites in this one. You want to kick off the main show with.
Like I said, I think this is the group that came from the one they're partnered with.
Okay.
The guys
That would
from
make
Japan.
sense. I can't remember the name of the other promotion off the top of my head right now. They only said it about 50 times during the match.
Yeah.
But
I
they're
didn't know we
veteran.
were reviewing this tonight, or else I would have watched it again.
No
Hard
worries.
to have it. I mean, we're a week removed from it. I'm hours removed from it.
Noob
to
said
be honest.
T-Hawk is a Street Fighter reference.
T-Hawk
That's
is a
true.
Street Fighter reference. That's very true. He was a good character to use. It's very, very good reach.
What I will say is that this was important, even with a loss, this was important for visibility for the other team. Because one of the things they did also mention during the course of this match was that these guys are from a promotion that is slowly pushing its way into places where traditionally there haven't been pro wrestling organizations. I think specifically they're moving into China right now is where this particular largely Japanese-based wrestling organization is headed. And so, I mean, from an organizational and business side of things outside the ring, this was another really cool thing to see this company be able to do, is to say, here's a platform, pay attention to these guys. They're doing something new. Go check that out, too.
Yeah. So, again, 1340 for the opening one. We're going to go into our next one, which is a triple threat. Britt Baker, DMD, Nyla Rose, and Kylie Ray. But wait.
Also conveniently on screen for those watching.
But wait. Brandy Rhodes had an announcement to make. Things were about to get awesome.
What I loved about this moment is that she came out and talked for about 2 sentences about how she knew with these superstars in this match that that she didn't have to worry. She wanted a great match, or she said she wanted a great match, and that's what she was going to get. But now she had decided she didn't want a great match. She wanted an awesome match. And then the music hit, and you can't call it a Titantron because that's WWE's, whatever the screen for them is called, starts showing some stuff, and like nobody knew what was going on. And I love these moments. I absolutely love these moments. We had it at Endgame, and I loved it there. People had it with Game of Thrones. I loved it there, and I loved it just as much here. The crowd was like, "What? What? Who's that?" And then the words "Awesome Kong" hit the screen, and the crowd lost their fucking minds.
Big pop. Big pop. I was like, okay, y'all know who she is. Impressed.
Yeah.
It was a good addition. She was not well utilized as Karma in WWE. Seeing her in other organizations, she was good.
She was also on Netflix Glow.
She was.
I haven't watched that, but I heard good things.
I've watched the first season. Definitely check that out. It's worth a watch.
Back to where the partnership is with Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, OWE. They also have one with Mexican Lucha Libre promotion, AAA.
Okay.
Those are the
AAA.
two.
Well, and that'll
announced.
play in later. Yeah.
AAA makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool to see Awesome Kong get a chance that she ultimately didn't have. There's a long story to her time as Karma in WWE, and dude, I'm not gonna share it all here, but
Yeah.
very scary back in Impact. I agree, Noob. Acknowledgement in chat there. But cool moment. It was a nice pop, nice surprise, because you needed it
Yeah.
at this show. You needed somebody, and not just favor the males, but also the females. Give the females a pop. It's important.
That was actually one of my favorite parts of that specifically, is that this is another one of those examples of how far we've come in the industry, that people cared enough to pop like that over a female being introduced.
Yes. Especially one, again, on your biggest company out there being WWE, is perceived, that an individual that wasn't utilized to receive a big pop.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so y'all do know who she is.
Ow.
Awesome.
I thought it was funny when she was introduced. Two of them looked like crap, basically. Like, this is gonna be bad, because she's such a big, bad woman.
Yeah.
And the other one was clapping Bailey Light.
Yeah.
You're very anime-looking character. Yeah.
I can't remember if they
Indie
outright
Bailey.
said it in the show or not, but I sort of got the impression that they were constantly, the commentators were kind of alluding to the fact that she's basically the indie version of Bailey.
Smiley Kylie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
Well, indie, non-WWE, I should
she's
say.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was fine in the match.
Oh, yeah.
She was pretty good.
This is another. Again, this whole match was a great example of how far we've come in the industry.
Kong
All four
was the
of
only
these.
one of the names that I really recognized.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen, I believe, Smiley Kylie, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Noob or anyone out there that's in chat. I want to say she was the one that competed in the tournaments in WWE, like those
Mae Young Classic.
the Mae Young Classics. She could have been a
Oh, that
competitor.
could be.
I think that's
I
where she
didn't
got
really
some more of
watch
her
all
recognition.
They looked the
And I
two
think
of the
Britt-
other three looked a little familiar, but I didn't.
And I think Britt
immediately
Baker
recognize
maybe as well, but maybe I'm just
Britt
recognizing-
Baker.
DMD.
DMD.
them. Which Jim Ross was kind enough to clarify meant she's a dentist.
Yes, she knows Isaac Yankem.
Oh,
She was his understudy.
way to date us.
It's the only dentist gimmick that I know of. So,
Back in the days when everyone had to have a day job.
Dr. Britt Baker, speaking of DMD, she won the match 11 minutes, 10 seconds. So, again, a good showing, good time.
Kylie Ray. She pinned Kylie Ray.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good
Which
match.
was, honestly, I'm glad you mentioned that, too, because my wife had asked. She's like, really? This chick beat Awesome Kong? I'm
Yeah,
like, well,
the other one was a big girl too, I think.
Something Rose?
Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose.
Yeah, they were both big girls, and
They took each other out outside the ring. Nyla speared Awesome Kong into the stairs, and that's where they stayed for the remainder of that match.
Yeah, they did not get up from there. Noob says in chat, I hope Britt Baker isn't related to voice actor Troy Baker. I hope not, too. So that was that match.
That would be a bad thing.
I mean, he's in everything.
So she gets to be now? I don't know, man.
I don't
Anyway.
know where we're going with that. Our next
nothing
match,
here.
unless we want to add any more to that tag match, or the Fatal 4, excuse me.
Just good
Yeah.
match.
It was a good match.
Speaking of tag matches, we have
Good official opener.
the Best Friends. Chuck
Yeah.
Taylor and Trent Beretta. Again, more veterans, if you've watched Impact, Ring of Honor, various things. And Helico and Jack Evans was the other tag team.
I didn't know any of these guys.
Yeah.
I knew of these people. I think, who was messaging me? I think it was Rick. Who the F are these green neon dudes?
They all had green on. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys could have
Yeah, who organized this?
a
Is
little
this an energy drink commercial? Like, what is happening?
Which one of you is named Kyle?
Right. Right. Jeez. Shout out to Kyle's listening. Thanks.
good match.
We love you.
Nothing special. I think the first match was better than this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
This one was good. It was a mix of things. You had your high flyers. These guys were all skinny and tall.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was the one dude with, like, he was going to go BMXing or something with his neon suit on, but, like, just weird attire choices. And that really is what sticks out the most, and it's unfortunate.
It is, because now that we're talking about it, like, I forgot the match was on the card until you read it just now. And now all I can remember is the outfits and the two guys wanting to hug each other the whole match.
Yeah, and they
That's
kept breaking that up.
And I mean, like, I guess that's a huge part of their gimmick, and the crowd was, they
popped
really,
for it.
really wanted it
And
to
they
happen.
got the hug when they got the win. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey!
Well, and again, that goes back to what I was saying
Spoilers.
earlier about NXT.
We're telling them results.
That's what we're here
I
to
mean,
do,
we
is
hadn't
spoil
got to
it.
the spoiler part.
No, but that goes back to what I was saying earlier about NXT.
Spoiling
It's one
our
of those
spoiler.
rare moments where you get to see any kind of positive sportsmanship after a match. And
Yeah.
the best friends wanted to hug it out with their opponents after
I'm sorry,
a
but
match.
they're no Billy and Chuck.
and then,
You know, the worst part is I kept looking at it, I'm like, which one of these guys was Chuck?
and then
I
the
love
lights
it.
went out.
Chuck Palumbo?
Chuck Palumbo.
Yeah.
After they were all hugging, the lights go out,
This is where you lost me completely.
and they come back up, and
There's
there's
two
two guys in the
dudes.
ring. One's a bald-headed, skinny dude, and the other one's a masked, bigger dude.
Yeah, who are these dudes?
Then the lights go down again, I think, and then there's minions all around.
Yeah,
the
they
ring
summon
with
their
masks.
minions to fight them.
And
That's like, I
the
don't
one
know
guy's
what's
like,
happening.
one commentator that's not JR, it was the
Not
non
Excalibur?
Yeah, he was like, I think I know who these guys are, but I don't want to say their name. And I'm like, well, tell
Thanks
me their
for
name
helping the
because I
audience.
have no clue who these guys are. Their name is apparently Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
It
So
was
they didn't wanna
weird
say it 'cause
because
Nintendo?
They can't say it because they're going through a trademark issue right now.
Oh, right.
They beat up all four guys in the ring with their minions, and then the minion guys made a throne of people for the big guy to sit on, which
Yeah.
just seemed horrible.
That
And
was
then the lights went out, and they were gone.
that match was largely passable but forgettable.
It's
Then that
forgettable.
segment at the end, I spent the whole time going, did somebody slip me a drug?
Yeah, what
of
is-
some
it
kind?
was-
Am I tripping balls right now?
It was a weird.
It was
weird
bizarre,
moment.
and the commentators' refusal to commentate on what was taking place, other than to go, "What's happening right now? Who are these guys?"
Yeah, it's your job to paint the color of the picture.
Tell me. I don't know who these guys are. It was so weird.
Yeah, I felt very disconnected from that moment.
Yeah, very.
Commentary
very.
also, I loved some of the acknowledgments of things too. One of the things that Jim Ross that I appreciated in this show, there was a botched move, I think a DDT. And JR was basically like, well, he didn't really get all of that one. And basically to say, you fucked up.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much classic commentator code for they fucked it up.
Yeah, and I mean, even we'll get to this too, because it's actually the next match. The crowd will let you know when you fuck something up.
Yep.
Because the next match features something that got messed up. So again, the best friends win this thing in 12:35. Overall,
Okay.
it's a match that existed.
It happened.
Yeah.
I'm not
Wasn't
sad
bad,
about it.
wasn't good. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't bad.
It's
and
not
it was
bad. None of
decent.
this-
It was decent.
I went into this whole pay-per-view not particularly caring about anybody, and I came out of a lot of these matches caring about some of these people.
Yeah.
This is
This
not
one.
one of those cases. Like,
You
I don't
said
wish
it.
them ill will, but I don't... If I never saw them again, it's like, okay, that
Right,
was
I'm
a weird
fine.
moment in my
Maybe
life.
once they get a story, you'll be like, oh, okay, these guys are.
Right.
Good,
These
and I
these things
shouldn't
may
care.
change
I
with the
do-
TV deal.
But right now, it was
I
four
hate
dudes
them
and
because
some weird
they're.
shit.
It's monster energy. AEW is full of gaming references, says Noob and Chat. Yeah, I did see a lot of that.
And JPW.
And
has
maybe that's
several,
the
too.
secret game that they had broken off. Remember there was talk of another wrestling game to compete with 2K? Maybe we're
vaguely
going to get an
remember that, yeah.
AEW game.
I'm not going to lie, I would kind of dig that. Just for another take on it. Again, for the same reason I want to see some competition for WWE, I want to see some competition for 2K, because I feel like 2K has gotten
all I
places.
ask, give me a way to customize so I can do the show. That's all I ask.
Yeah, give me the create a wrestler, create a roster, create a show.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's going to win them some
General
major
manager
points. I'll tell you two things that are going to win AEW's game some major points. GM mode, because I do miss that a lot.
Yeah.
But more than anything else, custom fucking entrances. Allow us the way to import music, and you will steal so much audience from 2K.
Again, I stand by my stance that I don't want our stuff getting muted.
No. I'm not saying for us. I just mean
But that's
for
why
players, like a lot
for
of
players,
people.
yes. For what I use the game
We'd never
for,
be able to implement it.
No, but the thing is, I admitted this week that I don't play the game. I just do the show.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
have
and that's what I
time.
mean. We'd never be able to
Travis's
implement it in the show.
work
but-
will double too. I changed my music this week.
Oh,
I'm not downloading it. I've already downloaded everybody else's 3
No,
times.
you'd have to hard enforce that once a month limit if that
we
was a
looked
thing.
at
Jesus.
stats for just on air. The show will be officially 1 year on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
We looked at stats. It was 7 days and 1 hour. So
Yeah.
1 week of 52 weeks I spent just on air with the show.
To say nothing of the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes, almost like 99.5% him. But even for me, just tracking the votes and shit now and talking through
It
stuff
took me
with him.
5 weeks to build up to do the first episode.
Yeah.
To create the roster, create the logos, create the concept.
It's a crazy amount of stuff.
It was nuts.
So anyway, all that weirdness aside, I do hope they get a game. That would be cool. Again, just for the competition factor, if nothing else. Maybe THQ will come back from the dead.
I wouldn't be mad about
I
it.
wouldn't be mad about it. I
Our
love those
next
games.
match was a 6-woman tag team match. I am going to butcher all of these Japanese names, and I
this
am
the
so
Joji?
sorry.
Aja Kong.
Aja Kong, Yuko Sakazaki,
Do you want me to read them?
Emi Sakura, Hikaru Shida, Riho, and Ryo Mizunami.
You didn't do bad.
Okay.
Those are pretty good.
I tried, okay? I'm not
No, points.
very
Points.
familiar with...
For the, I would say 98%, they probably wouldn't be offended.
That's why I want to preface with I'm so sorry.
Sure.
And
Well, that's half the fun of reading stuff you don't know on air is
The one
people
was
love
the
watching us
trainer,
struggle.
the one on the other team. I don't know their
And
names.
that's the other thing too. I'm unfamiliar with the characters.
Yeah.
I knew none of these,
So-
but this was a good match.
This was a
Lot of
very
good-
solid match.
good
Very
action.
mixed gimmicks too.
Yeah.
I love New Japan because I love Japanese wrestling in general. It's fun to me because the gimmick, the style, everything is so very different. And like just the way they carry themselves with their gimmicks and even kind of get into each other's entrance music, even though it's so contrasting to what their character is,
Yeah.
as they waited and posed on stage. I'm like, you are so committed and live and breathe these characters more so than any other organization out there. And that's so much respect for the Japanese culture and Japanese wrestling in general. We don't have the, like, they're not the how do I do this without being offensive? The stereotypical WWE fan or wrestling fan of the 90s was a redneck. I said it, and I'm not wrong. And
stereotype is a word
Exhibit
for a
A,
reason.
sure, that's fine. No, I
It's
have a
the
red beard.
stereotype.
It's a stereotype. But if you watch New Japan, any of their big shows, let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom or various other things, the traditional crowd isn't as crazy and animated as
They're
a lot of
silent
ours.
during the matches
They're
most of the
silent during the
time.
matches. They sit. A lot of them are dressed up. It's a formal fare, like it's an outing. It's like it's very differently perceived. What are you doing?
Your hoodie is freaking out the green screen. For those listening and not watching, sorry, I caught something on the camera and it's a hoodie behind us. For some reason, the green screen is tripping out over the NXT logo, and
Because it's yellow. It's not green.
yeah, no, and for some reason when I first saw it, I just thought it was like a
Look at
wrinkle
your
in the
belly.
green screen. I know. I'm like,
Anyways, people are like, what is
sorry,
that?
I didn't mean to sidetrack it. Just
One of
it
the
confused me. I wanted to make sure we didn't break anything. That's all.
One of the ladies came out dressed as Freddie Mercury.
That was
Yeah,
nice.
that was weird.
Wasn't
It was
the only
fun.
One. Wasn't it Christopher Daniels had the mic like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The mic stand too. Yep.
and he did the little
Noob-
thing at the beginning too.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Noob said, I did watch one of Asuka's old matches on YouTube, and one of them is a comedy tag team match, and Asuka teamed up with Hikaru Shida. who was one of the women.
Participants.
I'm gonna have to go find that match. I'm gonna be honest with you because I really enjoyed watching her in this match.
Yeah,
I mean the whole match was good. All of them were good, but I really liked her.
For being unknown, they impressed.
Yeah.
So the team of Hikaru Shida, Riho, and Ryo Mizunami ended up winning. 13-10 was again the time for this one.
There's two things I want to talk about on that match before we move on. The first is this match I almost feel like was JR, if you'll come commentate our show, we'll get this match for you because Jim Ross would not stop fanboying about calling an Aja Kong match every time it came up. He was like, I've never had the opportunity. I'm so excited. Mm-hmm. She's super good. Had a long career. She's had a long career. I really want to see it. Yeah, I've never heard of this wrestler, and the crowd there was like,
name. Woo! I think she was the only one that I actually think I've heard the name of. But.
Yeah, the only reason I'd ever heard her name before, I guess, was the comparison to Awesome Kong.
Right,
was that it's meant to be, I guess, tribute, if you will. Yeah, homage. But the other thing that I want to say is that Aja Kong actually had my favorite spot in that match when she grabbed the completely non-standard, straight-up office garbage can, small rectangular. Like I was trying to explain it to Sarah, kind of smallish for the NAW crowd, because she wasn't watching with me. I was watching on my computer while she was watching something else on the TV, and I was like, she grabbed a trash can, and I had to stop, and I had to be like, but not like 90s WWE where it was always the stereotypical giant aluminum round trash can. It was like a tiny little office trash can, and then proceeded to block a kendo strike, or have her trash can strike blocked with a kendo stick. And I'm like, we're watching a sword fight between a trash can and a kendo stick.
Yes, very much. Yeah,
and it was such a bizarre moment that ultimately ended with Aja Kong, knocking somebody upside the head with the can anyway. It was fun. That match was a lot of fun, and I think that's my favorite thing about that match is there was a lot of good athleticism on display. All of these female performers, once again, proving that they've been sorely overlooked in the American wrestling organizations for a long, long time. But more than anything else, the match was fun.
Really real for a second here. We have not done so well with anyone foreign with creating them a compelling gimmick.
Oh, good Lord, no.
That's
if you're not a white male, you've probably had a shit gimmick in an American organization at one time or another. Period.
So that's why I would say, for one, I would be hesitant as a talent to come over here and leave your world.
Sure. I wasn't even just meaning bringing wrestlers in from out of town, if you want to call it that way. I meant even American women wrestlers were sorely overlooked for a long time.
Well, yeah.
It's gotten a lot better, especially in the last decade. I'll even go back a whole decade and say it's been a pretty good improvement.
Oh, it's night and day between a decade ago today.
Yeah, exactly.
Night and day.
But again, the product we grew up with, could you ever imagine seeing a match, especially...
We grew up without a women's champion for at least a decade.
Exactly. Noob said that's my favorite match on Double or Nothing, and I honestly... I don't
talking about the video behind us, or are you talking about...
Oh, yeah, sorry. Are you talking about the match that's going on behind us, or are you talking about the match we're talking about?
Yeah, very different matches.
Yeah, extremely disparate. Because I would not agree that was my favorite, personally, my favorite match, if you're talking about the one we were talking about. But I could see why somebody would say that, because it was a really, really good match.
Yep. Our next one on the card, though, potentially what a lot of people said was their favorite, potentially of this year so far. 22 minutes and 30 seconds of brother defeating brother.
This was my favorite match.
Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes.
They told a story in there.
They told a incredible story.
Yeah.
Highs, lows,
Let's talk
tears.
about the story that was Cody Rhodes' entrance. The lion in the room and the dislike for an obvious character in WWE. A statement was made. Cody came down to the ring. Brandy had a sledgehammer that she found under the ring for him. Handed it to him. He proceeded to walk back up the ramp, and you've seen it if you're watching our visual one here. It's been played already.
A couple of times, I think.
And there was a throne. Maltese cross.
Very clearly.
Resemblant of somebody else's throne that's been used during entrances.
Not naming names here.
Pretty sure it was an attack on Triple H. Ooh, yes.
You know why, though? During DX's...
The Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
thing,
He said
Billy said he didn't have to thank Billy Gunn said he didn't have to thank Vince because Vince can't fire him because he's AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And Triple H responded, Billy, let's be honest, he'll buy that pissant company just to fire you again.
Yep. I remember that.
That was honestly, it was funny in the moment, but it was very poor taste. And he may end up eating those words one day, and that right there.
I don't know if I would have led with
the man who laughs last laughs the loudest.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know that I would have necessarily led with a ballistic missile when your opponent's got nukes.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude backing you might be richer than Vince, but in this world, that almost means nothing. Vince could still bury this organization if he really wanted to put his time, effort, and money to it.
And not to mention that Tony Khan is a lifelong wrestling fan, and he is a businessman. What's best for business might be selling the business.
Yeah, no question. It was bold, for sure. I don't know if I would have done it personally. Maybe we'll both be wrong.
I liked the moment. I applaud Cody Rhodes for doing that.
It was a good spot.
This is
got people talking,
but this is mostly my dislike for Triple H. I do not like him.
Really?
As a businessman, as an in-ring performer, I've collected a lot of thoughts on it over the years. I don't like him. I don't like that he's the apparent face of NXT and claims all the success of that. Well, I don't think that was him. Has he helped guide it and maybe been a good console for it? Sure. But I don't think he deserves that accolade. I don't think he deserves a lot of the things that he has.
Are you mad because he married Stephanie?
I'm not mad about that. But that's also a question to debate, too. That's convenient.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could absolutely see the argument for why he might not be a big fan of his at this point in his career.
He's arrogant. He has ruined so many great match moments. The greatest example was you don't need to have victories at Mania over people. You don't need to beat Sting. Why?
I mean, ultimately,
I'm sure he
was
didn't.
Probably Vince's call.
I was going to say, I'm sure Triple H
Vince
didn't
wanted
say
to
no, but I
WCW
bet money Vince
one more
put him
time.
up to it. Yeah.
Well, sure. And Triple H was like, yeah.
I'll do it, yeah.
Let's do this. That's good for me.
I got you, Dad.
It was good for the goose.
Right?
I mean, if Vince tells you to do it, you're part of his company, you're probably going to do it. Most things.
We had that conversation earlier.
And we will have it again.
I'm sure. Did you catch the beginning of Cody's entrance music, though?
It sounded familiar. Why?
I'm not even talking about the music itself. I'm talking about the words that Cody speaks at the beginning of his entrance music. He says, and it's not anywhere near as loud as the rest of the music, and that's probably why most people missed it, I guess. But it's Cody's voice clearly saying pro wrestling has more than one golden family.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, he follows that being his entrance music with destroying Triple H's throne.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything about that match, start to finish, was shots fired at Triple H and the McMahons.
Well, I mean, there's clearly
and you
animosity brewing here. They mentioned AEW on programming last week, not once, but I believe twice. They've also, in recent interviews for TakeOver, had Triple H dismiss questions, again, on AEW as a company and as a potential threat. Yeah. So it's cleared.
I think Vince is just still at a point right now where he doesn't feel like he has to acknowledge the other company because
they're not direct.
Everyone else has come and gone.
They are. They did on Raw.
No. Yeah. I mean, like
they acknowledged it.
I don't mean like don't speak the words, but I mean like.
Well, they didn't acknowledge TNA for a long time, years probably.
Well, they still barely do, even with the
they
AJ
did
Styles
eventually.
content.
Maybe they see these guys as a bigger threat. They're like, they're just a joke. So
money talks, though. Money talks. So
it could very well be just.
Or
if we crack jokes about it,
they're working together, like Vince Russo told us all.
That could be.
That
could be.
Once again, don't hire Vince Russo.
Y'all are crazy.
You know what it do? You know how insane it's going to be if that turns out to be true, though. Like this is like aliens built the pyramids crazy, but.
You know, here's the thing.
I'm going to lose my shit if it turns out to be what's really happening.
I don't think it's true because there's
no way.
There's so much talent that has refused contracts with WWE. Like, they've turned down
Kenny
contracts.
Omega.
He's a great example.
Kenny
Young
Omega
Bucks is a great example.
Yeah.
They've turned down contracts.
There's
That's why I don't
absolutely
think
no
there's
I mean,
it's not a ruse here.
Vince would have had to have dumped so much money to convince them to do this.
Yeah. It's
Kenny Omega has been almost
Vince
as high
doing
profile as
that,
the
investing in AEW is a bigger risk than investing in XFL. It really is.
Yeah.
For a second time in XFL. But let's talk about the match. So again, Cody Rhodes facing his half brother.
Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes,
Which
AKA,
they do actually call out during the match too.
Goldust. Half of his face was painted red. He's in better shape than he's been in a while.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the pacing and, as Trevor said, the storytelling in this match, you held on for the ride.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was a good story, and fans were behind the idea of even Dustin winning. That he got a pop and got reactions.
Yeah.
And this is a
the
character, and this is a character that in the '90s he faced Roddy Piper in this Hollywood street fight. He dressed in like panties and like wigs, and this is a character that's done so much, been in so many organizations, and
7.
like
That was, WCW.
and just like the fact that he can get a pop like that now, even though we've seen him return random times for WWE, that blows my mind that your surroundings make that much of a difference for your character. And that's something that I fail to wrap my head around. Is like, why did you not care about this person over here, but suddenly do now? Is it the gimmick? Is it just because it's here?
So this is going to be one of those situations where I feel like...
Is it his opponent?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that was a factor for sure, but I think what happened here is kind of the opposite of where I feel like this conversation has really gone as a whole for you and I, but more where I kind of assumed a lot of these conversations were going to wind up going. I feel like a lot of these people that are, going bananas for Ty Dillinger, for Goldust, for the people who are coming over that were locked up in prison in WWE for so long.
Nice reference.
It is just, we're happy to see you free. You're here. That means we took something from them. This is ours.
So
and it's more. And I don't want to take anything away from Dustin Rhodes. He's been a phenomenal performer.
Yeah.
For most of my life. You know what I mean? For a long, long time, he put on a great show tonight. They put on a great match, a great story. His opponent is very high profile, so not to take anything away from either of those guys or what they put on or the story that was told in the ring at this pay-per-view, but I feel like the distinction for many of the fans between being able to pop for Goldust in WWE versus being, going nuts for Dustin Rhodes in this match is a lot of these people were sick of the way WWE treats a lot of people. And it's something that we've touched on multiple times throughout this show. The main roster is horribly used, and even when you do have people on like Goldust, at this point, R-Truth is experiencing one of the
biggest
better
resurgence in his career, yeah.
Yeah, and R-Truth and Goldust were both in the same boat for a hot minute.
The Golden Truth.
They were nothing but a gag gimmick that was drug out to fill space for a minute.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing an opportunity to put somebody like Dustin, who is clearly not ready to be completely done, to give him a platform to really say goodbye and not get shafted the way we literally just watched Kurt Angle. I will never not be bitter about that. It was bad enough with Corbin. It was worse the way they treated him with Drew McIntyre. I think it's completely fucking horrible the way they treat people who put the company on their backs for as long as they did. And I feel like Dustin Rhodes is one of those people who Goldust was never... He was never Triple H. He was never The Undertaker. He was never headlining WrestleMania, but he was a constant, and he was constantly good. And he got shafted a lot. And so now here we are with an opportunity to see him not weighed down. And I think that's a big part of what the crowd had to say when they were excited and cheering and hopeful that he might pull it out and win.
Yeah. The story that was told too between these brothers to wrap up that one,
Because I did what I always do when I talk for 10 minutes.
no, you're good. A lot to digest.
The blood in this match, what we were saying earlier.
Yes.
It was used well. I mean, there was a lot.
It was excessive, but I
Some
don't think that was
people
intentional.
It was too much, but
I think he bladed too deep.
Yeah, that was my thinking too. I don't think that was intentional by any stretch. Sorry, go ahead.
it added to the match, though. It was used well.
Well, especially because it wasn't just shock factor. It wound up being something that even the commentators were jumping in on and saying, the
Blood
stamina
loss.
of Dustin, how is he still walking? And there's so much blood in his eyes. It's pure
you could
instinct.
See it pouring
and-
off when he was.
oh God, yeah,
Oh, that
couple
mat was
tight
just-
shots. It was
Cody's
a,
hair was red.
it was a literal waterfall coming
His
off the
face
dude,
looked
but-
like it was completely painted, and even though only half
The
of it
Crimson
was.
Mask.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
good storytelling, and it ended up with Cody prevailing, which let's
I don't
be
think
real.
anyone was surprised.
No, and that's one of the things I do want to mention on the main players on the show are picking up wins. It's clear who you're going to run this company with.
Yeah.
Cody is a face. The end result had him have an embrace with Dustin and talked about him booking himself in a match as a tag team, and he's putting himself, long story short, with Dustin. So that's an
Didn't
upcoming
need a
thing.
partner. He didn't need a
He didn't need a lot of things. He
friend.
needed his
He
older
just-
brother.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
needs his older
I got a little
brother.
missy at that because even Cody choked up saying it, and I don't
Yeah.
think that was fake. I think that was
Genuine.
real, genuine emotion in that moment.
Commentary crew,
Dustin
they
was
pan
taking
back
his
to them.
boots
and
off
yeah.
in the ring, like he was
hanging
gonna
Well,
put
and
him
Cody
out.
got back in the ring, and Dustin
You don't get to end it like
scooted.
this.
Well, did you notice that when
Yeah,
Cody
he-
got in the
he-
back and he
like he
scooted
was-
like
Yeah.
defensive? Like, are we doing this again? The match is over, man. Leave me alone.
I seen an interview afterward, and he was like, when he got back in, I was like, man, let me at least put my boot back on before you beat me. I'm done. I've got nothing left.
So it was a really cool moment.
Yeah, Noob said Cody and Dustin ending is very emotional. Yeah, agreed. Very much agreed.
So, and obviously, if you didn't know the passing, of American Dream. Also, why I want to mention too, why I love Cody Rhodes' nickname, the American Nightmare. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool. Dream and Nightmare.
Yep.
Anyways, the next thing, it's not a match. It is the unveiling of the NEW or A. See, I keep doing that. I'm programmed now. I'm programmed. We're talking
AEW.
All Elite Wrestling Championship. Their belts, and the handoff was weird. The guy was like having a hard time holding it.
Yeah.
Brett stumbling down to the ring. He
Brett
was
coming
looking-
out was like, what? A surprise. I'm like,
Yeah, why is Brett here? You were just
he was
at the
just
Hall
on
of Fame.
good terms with Vince and them, I thought.
Yeah, and like, why this? Like, I don't know. The belt
Not
was
a
clearly
bad
heavy.
surprise, it's
He's
a surprise. I'm like,
he was looking terrible. He stumbled to the ring.
I mean,
He's had a hell of
Matt's
a.
had strokes and
That's what I'm saying. He's had a hell of a life.
got attacked
So,
by a fan. which
he
was brought
acknowledged
up.
that he botched part of the promo himself.
He did. Yeah, he quickly
He
recovered
was like-
himself.
It's been a long day, guys.
So, and speaking of attacked by a fan, that was actually who interrupted the championship thing.
MJF.
Yes, he acknowledged.
Look out, Brett, a fan's going to jump
Yeah,
in.
he tried to mock him.
Nah, kidding.
I was like, well, that's not.
That was in poor taste.
Yeah, very poor taste. I was like, oh, okay. So we got to
Well,
glance at what the belt looks
It
like.
gave him heat, so.
It did. It was effective. But
I didn't say it was a bad move. I just said it was in
And then
poor
he-
taste.
Then he tried. MJF was like, "I'm the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be." He's like, "No, that's horrible."
Yeah, good luck, dude. The belt looks nice. Cool. It's a belt.
Better than the 24/7 belt for damn sure.
That's fact. Yes.
I think it's better.
Although
than
that
both
was a
of the-
low bar.
I think it's better than most of the titles on WWE at the moment. The big colorful
They're not
titles. I
great.
don't like them.
I hate the tag
Tag
belts.
belts are awful.
I hate
The heavyweight championship belts.
The WWE is okay.
At least it's got the WWE logo. The WWE one is better because it's black.
Yes.
With
It looks
the
weird.
color.
The
The
red
color scheme
leather
matches.
is
It
not
looks
good.
ridiculous. I hate it.
Also, the name, the Universal title.
Yeah, come
I've always
on.
hated that.
It's not even universal anymore.
Also, Jimmy Havoc,
Jungle Boy.
Jungle
Boy,
Boy,
the head.
and
Hangman Page.
Hangman Page all came. Oh yeah, Hangman Page came out there during the thing.
Oh yeah, Brett
Also,
called him out.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
to show him the
'Cause
belt
you're
what
gonna
he's
be
going to be
facing,
fighting for.
yeah.
So
They all ran Jimmy Havoc off.
it was a neat moment,
They
but
ran MJF off.
it just I don't know. It was a moment.
Noob just said MJF is such a character. He's really annoying. I think he's going to be a really good heel.
I think he's going to be.
he's going to be a great heel when they need to.
He reminds me a lot of the Miz.
Give a push.
Yeah, he's got that.
Because I can't stand the Miz, but I love the Miz. He's one of my favorite performers.
He's a great heel. Yeah.
He's a fantastic heel.
Not really great face right now.
Who,
They're
the
not
Miz?
pushing really well. I mean, his promos are promos.
I love promomos. New.
Oh, that's a bot.
Promomos. Brought to you by Trevor.
Yep.
Every Wednesday night.
Yeah, he's better as a heel. It's like Orton. He's better as a heel.
Yeah.
Not a good face.
Yeah,
Even as a
terrible
face, he's a heel.
Yep.
After this, we went into our one and only championship match on the card, which was not even for an AEW championship.
Which was weird to me.
Well,
odd choice.
Storyline
made sense because what they'd laid the groundwork for. But
here was the only background, like big background build.
What were they going to do? Hand somebody a belt? That's worked out so well for WWE.
It does. So a tag team match for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. Former champions, the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
they're not going to actually show. Okay, the video in the background for the podcast listeners was at the point in the match between Cody and Dustin, where Dustin had set Cody up for the Shattered Dreams, and so Cody pulled the turnbuckle cover off as if to be like, you can do it, but you're going to hurt yourself because that uncovered turnbuckle now. And Dustin threw the turnbuckle cover out into the crowd, and one of my favorite moments from the commentary crew happened at that moment where one of the commentators just went, well, that's getting sold on eBay. And I just, it was one of those, fourth wall moments. I'm sorry. It happened on the video. There was no logical reason we were going to go back to it.
That'd go for a pretty penny.
I'm sure it will. But it just made me laugh because it's one of those things, again, where, you have somebody acknowledging the real world for a minute. You know what I mean? It made me laugh. I wanted to share.
It's kind of the era that we live in, too, with wrestling. They do acknowledge that they're not in their own bubble anymore.
Yeah, kayfabe is barely a thing anymore.
Yeah, it's very broke.
But anyway, sorry. Back to the
tag
title
team
match.
Championship. Former champions, Lucha Brothers, as mentioned, they had their belts taken from them at their own show by one of the worst tag teams, in my opinion, the Young Bucks. Dumb fucks. What's their name?
I think you got it right a second ago.
Dumb fucks?
No, the one before that.
Young fucks?
No, but that's not. Don't say that ever again on air.
The Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson. I know a lot of people like them. They love the Super Kick Party. I don't like them. I have seen them live. I went to a Ring of Honor show about 4 years ago. I got to see them in competition. Keep in mind, they have some nice moves that they can execute quite well as showmen. I am not discounting their athleticism or their ability to execute moves well. I am, however, annoyed by the Super Kick Party gimmick. I am, however, annoyed by the Too Sweet thing. I am annoyed by the Bullet Club and how overdone that was, and every goddamn person in this crowd was wearing either the All Elite shirt or the Bullet Club t-shirts. Get over it. The other thing I am annoyed about is just come up with your own fucking gimmick, Young Bucks. Stop doing the super kicks. Stop doing the suck it things. Stop doing everybody else's things and come up with your own shit. I don't like them.
It was a good match.
Gimmicks aside, though,
the match
pure
was
athleticism.
The match
was fine.
Really good.
Listen, you're going to disagree with me on principle, I feel, but I stand by this thought. In my own personal opinion, this might be one of the best tag team matches I've ever witnessed. And I'm not going to give the Young Bucks credit for it. I'll give them credit for being part of it.
How many matches have you seen by them?
That one.
That's why. That is why. I was sold when I saw them in the early days. I was sold. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. I hate repetition and lack of evolution.
Sure.
I learned to hate John Cena like everyone else did because same old shit. The Young Bucks are the same old shit.
But the Lucha Brothers are not.
No, they're a new team. They were great individual and they're teaming together as a tag team. They're a newish team. And if you are familiar with Lucha Underground as well as Impact Wrestling, they competed there for a little while. Everyone is annoyed. Okay, thank you. Thank you. At least I'm not.
Yeah, We had this discussion earlier. I'm not on the super kick party train. I feel like it's an overused move by everyone, not just them.
I don't remember them using it that much. I mean, they did.
Oh, dude, they had merch when I was at Ring of Honor. Everything
you're talking
was
about in this match, though.
This match. I'm not saying they
Yeah.
did.
Oh,
hit
okay.
a
I was gonna
number
say
of
like
them.
they, like that was their whole thing. Like they even did like a Ring of Honor tour where it was the Super Kick Party tour. I'm like, just stop.
Well, yeah, a lot of their merch does in fact say super kick. I'm pretty sure their entrance says super kick.
It does.
But that does not. There was a moment when the scene flashed by in the video behind us, and it might be coming up here in a second because they're showing clips in the video behind us of that match.
Yes.
Where I had to pause it for a second because I was absolutely positive that Pentagon had just killed one of the Young Bucks. Not literally, obviously, you know.
Why did they come out as Elvis?
Wrestling
What
is
the hell
fake.
that?
Blah blah blah. Everyone's got to. Dude, the lady came out as Freddie Mercury earlier, and it was like that was neat.
That was fine.
They came out as Elvis, and I fuck them. You need to calm down, young man. But
You young buck.
Pentagon hits a Canadian destroyer on Mutton Chops because I don't know his name. I think that one's Matt.
Dumb fucks.
On the apron outside the ring, even hitting that correctly, you know, you're flung and then you fall on the floor. I'm like, that dude's dead. This match is over. That guy is dead. And then that was followed up immediately by Ray hitting a Canadian destroyer on the other Young Buck. Like, there were so many amazing spots in this match that were way more to do.
They are, and these are
with
the things
the
that I've seen
Luchas.
before. And like, I saw them in basically a bingo hall with minimal mats, like from me to like 10 feet.
Sure.
I saw it happen. Like again, I was there live when I saw him. Obviously, it's the most obvious statement ever. But like, I was impressed. I was like, okay, this is cool. But again, like, you can only do the same one trick pony. I guess is like, and sure, the visual behind us, like,
is really showing what I'm talking about.
yeah, it's great for highlights to sell your product. But if you're doing that every Tuesday night on TNT this fall.
Well, sure, and maybe maybe when the show goes and they're on every week, I'll get 3 weeks in and I'll feel the same way about it. And maybe I'll feel the same way about it then as you do about it now.
I'll speak highly.
Like the Young Bucks are the best tag team to ever exist.
Ching!
But sponsor them. He'll super kick Rob for you.
They don't need a sponsor. They got $6.8 billion.
I'll take it on the chin.
They got money to blow.
But no, sincerely, like maybe I'll feel that way once it's worn off on me, but I've never seen either one of these teams compete. And this match, isolated, compared to any other tag team match I've ever seen isolated, I think might be.
That was their promo. They said they're going to make
best.
tag team wrestling important again, and they are the self-proclaimed best at it.
I have seen the Bucks because I watched New Japan stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was this standard fare for them in general?
It was a good match. That's all. I can't really don't remember. Like,
Sure.
But
my ultimate point, I guess, is this match taken on its own merits, in this pay-per-view taken on its own merits, was just mind-blowing for me, especially compared to where we are on WWE with a lot of the tag team stuff. Watching the Usos give tainted powder to the Revival.
No, WWE's had a problem with tag teams for a long time.
Yeah, and
Vince
that's
doesn't like tag teams.
And that's my point.
Yeah,
This exemplified where
Men and women.
This exemplified where WWE's problems are, because this was a phenomenal match that required no stupid shit. They got in the ring, they did a bunch of cool shit to watch, and then one team won.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't agree
disagree
with the winner, even not necessarily knowing either of these teams.
But
I really
that's
feel like
also
the
what I
Luchas
stand
should've
by.
won, but
They've
I think they're
showcased their
just
star
setting-
talent.
I think they're setting up for
a rematch for them
Rematch
to get it back at their
All
own
Out.
thing.
Well, sure, a rematch, but also
Yeah.
to show you, hey, these are our people.
Real quick before
I mean, the
we
other two
lose
are
it.
going to come too, I think.
I think so, yeah.
They're all in.
Yeah. Noob said, that's why some wrestling tag teams should come up with a gimmick. To be honest, I believe the Kabuki Warriors should have an anime gimmick. I assume that was in reference to them coming out as Elvis thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's important for any wrestler at this point to have some sort of a gimmick. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 80s and 90s day job bullshit. We don't need a trash delivery guy who wrestles on the weekends.
Repo.
We don't need the Repo Man.
Yes, we do.
Okay, we do.
Repo Man from Hall of Fame.
Repo Man and Brooklyn Brawler. We need both those guys. But
yes.
You need something to hook the audience into your character.
24 minutes, 55 seconds of too much Young Bucks was that match. Let's move on to our main event, which was the winner facing Adam Page, baby. It's not his thing. It's not his thing.
It's the wrong guy.
It is. In an AEW World Championship match at All Out, which again is this August. The commentary was stumbling over this, as was Bret Hart saying that, hey, we don't know when that match was going to take place. At a future time. He said maybe next week, which is when, again, he's like recognizing. So we can confirm that's what's written here anyways. All Out, August, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I seen that earlier.
Adam Page will compete against the winner of Jericho and Kenny Omega. Chris Jericho, to be exact. And oh my God, the entrance, Lionheart. You made the list.
Oh, that was so good.
The glowing jacket, like so many cool references and nods to his characters. And I thought it was really cool. I was excited to see Jericho compete again against Omega, Alpha Omega, if you will.
Yeah.
Alpha versus Omega 2. And, I think the match didn't deliver the same as their other one. I think it was kind of a letdown of a main event. The pacing was not great.
It was still decent.
It was good.
It was a good match. Unfortunately, I missed their first one. I still haven't seen it yet.
You should watch it.
But I heard a lot about it, and I got that impression coming out of this match that was going to be the case. As a parting note to what we were saying, a minute ago, Noob said, look at some of the other wrestlers. John Cena, same gimmick. Shayna Baszler, same gimmick. The Iconics, same gimmick. It's starting to irritate some fans.
Yeah, evolution is important.
Yes, you gotta evolve. You gotta iterate.
And that's why, going back to the match here, Jericho has been the king of evolving, continuing to do something new with his character. Moves, even. He introduced new moves. He even has a somewhat new one.
The Judas effect?
Yeah, which I don't like.
I'm not a big fan of it, but
whatever. Hey, at his age and his current build.
You're not insulting anymore.
Well, he can, but...
He tried.
So here's the thing with that, too. I feel the pacing of the match was slower. Jericho is not in great cardio shape. There was something that felt off about the match compared to the other one. I don't know if it can't be jitters because both are veterans now. Kenny Omega considered a veteran.
Yeah.
It's something felt off. And to quickly conclude with that, we'll obviously circle back to conversation on it. I do want to say that Jericho won, which I think was a bad choice.
It was surprising.
Yeah.
It was surprising.
But
I feel the reason is that it's a better thing to have a face like Omega chase the championship from a heel winning it later down the road with your TV programming rather than have a face win it off the bat. The payoff is better this way, long term. So I think that's the perspective they're looking at it.
Yeah, and at this point, if that's the case, they've kind of painted themselves into Jericho being the inaugural champion.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, not terrible. And I mean, if this is his last hurrah, like if he's going to step out of the ring after this,
he's 48.
And that's my point. Like, he wasn't in bad shape, but he was not.
He's thicker than
he's.
Yeah, he's thicker than he normally.
Dead about Jericho.
Kinda. And I don't say that as a shot, but
it's not. But
compared
in better
to
shape than I am. For
the man started out as a cruiserweight.
Yes.
So,
and that's my point. You compare it to where he's been in his prior gimmicks. I mean, he's starting to show his age, and that's not a bad thing.
No, it's just
it's just a reality.
It's why I said too, and Trevor and I have had back and forth on this off screen. But I say I love Jericho. Honestly, probably my favorite of all time. Him and Edge, probably like
two phenomenal performers.
But I think Jericho. Again, it's back and forth. It's always back and forth. It depends on the day with me, but those are it. But Trevor and I had the many debates on the statement I've made to him that Jericho is enhancement talent and has been for quite a few years now. And I stand by that. I think, yes, he won this. He won this match, but I still think it is to build and enhance somebody else. Fandango. Things like that. And he's spoken on his podcast. He didn't think it was the best, but, whatever. He does things for the company because he's a company guy.
Well, that's the thing. Him winning this wasn't to elevate Jericho.
No.
It was to elevate the status of the championship and the
company.
Exactly.
But does it hurt Omega?
No. Omega's one of the biggest stars
who
outside of WWE.
Yeah.
Outside, sure.
Yes.
But
I'd say he'll rival most of the WWE guys, too.
Who won the previous match? Didn't Omega win?
Yes.
Okay, so you set up a rubber match.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, if this were the first match between them, or if this were earlier in Omega's career and he was less established, I would say absolutely yes. You've effectively buried somebody who's rising by having him lose to Chris Jericho here. But given how established Kenny Omega has been, what a huge deal it was every single time the conversation has come up about Vince trying to lure him over to the U.S., given he did beat Jericho in the prior match, given how high profile his matches in general have been, Omega Okada have been some of the greatest matches reviewed. You know what I mean? So I
7 stars.
Does it
broke the star thing?
Yes. Does it
Dave
help?
Meltzer star rating.
Does it help Omega? No. Does it hurt him? Not in the way that it would hurt somebody 5 to 10 years his junior.
We talked about Jericho since we didn't even talk about Omega. He came out with the Sephiroth outfit on.
Oh, that was what that was. I couldn't place it when I saw it.
The best Final Fantasy.
Oh,
yikes!
That's an argument for a different podcast.
That's a different podcast, but yes.
Ultimately, that's actually one of my favorite things about Kenny Omega, though, is everything he does is so laced with video game references. V-Trigger from Devil May Cry.
Yeah, if you haven't watched any New Japan or done any history on him, do yourself a favor.
Oh yeah,
watch the Omega Okada matches.
Those are better. Those are better than the Jericho Omega ones.
Well, the Alpha vs Omega was good too.
I'm not saying it was bad,
but yes, the Okada ones were better because
vastly superior.
But it's also his style of. Yeah, it's also Omega's style too. He's very Japanese influenced.
The first one I watched,
for a
long time.
The first one I watched with Omega versus Okada, the first match they had, and he kept going for the one-winged angel. I'm like, he went for like at least 7 times, I would say, and I'm like, hit this damn move so I can see what it is. 'Cause I didn't.
I still haven't seen it. Jericho reversed it too.
Yeah, V-Triggers from Street Fighter V says Noob in chat.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, not Devil May Cry. You're right. My bad. Thanks, Noob.
They're always there. That's why I love our viewers. Always there to put us.
I don't know why. I honestly don't know why I went to Devil May Cry instead of Street Fighter. I knew it was from Street Fighter.
It's late.
Yeah, it is late.
So
I stole my Hadouken from him. That is one of Kenny Omega's moves.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
But one of the most important things, and that's been all the buzz, all the talk, all the rage, and God, shut up already.
Before you get to that part.
Oh, okay.
Jericho, just after when he was cutting the promo leading up to what you're about to say.
Yes.
When I said he's like they need to thank me because I just put their company on the map. That was a great promo from Jericho.
Yeah.
His ring skills have diminished, but his promo skills,
his mic skills
are still there.
He's on point.
Fifth says in chat, STFU, it's 4 a.m. Where are you at?
I think those are all emotes.
Oh, okay. But where are you at? Where are you from?
Also that, yeah. I mean, we're gonna shut up soon because it is late.
Yes. So to confirm your statements, Trevor, Jericho always great promo guy. So here he is behind us, every visual show.
Yeah, cutting that promo we just talked about. Noob said maybe Asuka and Kairi Sane might come up with some moves based on anime or video games. That would be awesome. I never get tired of nerd references in wrestling. I love it.
So let's talk about this. Visually, it might line up. The stars might align here, which
I think they're about to, yeah.
There is an individual that made their presence known at the conclusion of the pay-per-view event. This character recently released, as he's walking in now, a video Basically, the video is him breaking out of prison. And
Roman Reigns.
It is not Roman Reigns.
Wild card rule is in effect.
No. The video was him, and they shot this months ago because he had made up his mind that he was leaving the company back in January. He shot the video in February, and basically it describes getting out of prison and being free.
He was chased by a big dog.
The allegory, or what do you call it? Would it be considered allegory?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe
Symbolism?
Not. Sure, we'll go with that.
Symbolism.
The reference is getting out of WWE.
Yeah.
The character return is Jon Moxley, a.k.a. formerly Dean Ambrose. For those that don't know, Jon Moxley was before Dean Ambrose. He was a deathmatch fighter, and he was hardcore. And that's fine, but when you are usually a deathmatch in-ring performer, you're really not that great at actual wrestling. And hate me if you will, send me hate mail. You can send it to P.O. Box. Go fuck yourself. But I stand by my statements. I'm a hard one to sway as far as opinions, and that's fine.
Yeah.
If you agree with me, hooray.
No
if you don't,
does.
whatever. Who cares? Everyone has a right to their own opinion. Anyways, so Jon Moxley makes a statement that he has signed with AEW.
Jericho was like,
And-
you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, who are you? Why are you here?
No, he knew he was. I mean,
Do we, though? Do we really know?
I think he said, "Who do you think you are?"
Sure.
yeah.
A nobody. A has-been. Or a wannabe.
Ouch.
Or a never was.
Oh.
So former WWE champion Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley again, is in AEW. The IWC is buzzing over this. I am so tired of seeing every article about, oh, he was on Talk is Jericho. He was on this. Trevor calls me in the middle of the night. Did you see this, Travis? He's on Talk is Jericho. Oh my God. I downloaded it 40 times.
That's exactly what Trevor sounds like.
It does. You heard him in the studio right
You
now.
need to drink a beer and shut your mouth.
So
I'm about to wind up on camera because I'm going to choke you.
the real question is here, is that a big acquisition? Because if you're talking statistic-wise, you acquired a former WWE champ. That right there in itself, yes, that's a big acquisition. But character-wise, my wife was like, he just looks like, this is his new creative freedom that he wanted. He just looks like a drunken idiot. That was her
He
description.
doesn't have to say the stupid shit that Vince wants him to say anymore.
Sure, he has.
Scooper.
He has creative freedom, but his gimmick is so like.
Doesn't have to get an injection in his butt.
I hated this stuff.
Do you know
he
his
did.
gimmick?
A drunken idiot? Yeah, he did it. We saw him stumble in, and
He didn't say anything. He just walked out and attacked a couple of dudes and then left.
okay, he's done what most people do when they make a debut.
Yes, but that's my point. Like, he's done what most people do when he made it. I'm not trying to sell you on Jon Moxley.
Oh, and
right
you
now.
won't.
Don't get me wrong.
You won't.
What I'm saying, though, is there's nothing to sell.
You're
only
right.
thing-
There is nothing to sell.
only
He was
thing-
not a draw in WWE. That's why he was poorly booked. The only reason he was given the title is so they could have that one pay-per-view event where all three members of the Shield had the belt. They built to that moment.
Maybe. My point is,
100%.
all we're
Prove
being
me wrong.
sold right now is,
Did somebody jump ship?
yeah, exactly. 100%. All we're being sold right now is the early days of WCW. That's 100% what we're being sold. With
Yeah,
Jon
and
Moxley
everyone's
right now.
freaking out. Like, oh, it's the Attitude Era again. Stop forcing that to happen. It's never going to happen again.
No,
Stop.
You mean John Luger?
Well, people need to remove themselves from the Attitude Era.
Lex Moxley?
Like, we constantly compare things to that. Like, if you...
What does that say?
I hate fun. I do hate fun.
Nice.
But that's the problem with a lot of the marks. Stop going back to that.
Stop being marks. You want the marks to stop marking out?
Yes. Please.
You are having the wrong conversation, my friend.
On a wrestling podcast that I want those marks to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to alienate the audience.
Whatever.
Hey, viewer who's here to listen
Back
to us
to what
talk
he
about
did.
what you like. The
came
thing you
in.
like is stupid, and you're stupid for liking it.
After Jericho yells at him, he gives him the dirty deeds or whatever they're going to call it.
What are they going to call it now?
He gives the ref the
Double
dirty
DDT.
deeds.
It's such a
And
dumb
then
move.
Yep.
Omega gets up and they start fighting and they brawl around the arena a little bit.
Beats them
into
up.
the crowd.
They go up to the poker chips.
They get on the poker chips. And then
Commentary says, hey, those are expensive.
Yeah, they really did. I was like, they're foam poker chips, bro. They're probably the cheapest part of your set.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that Triple H throne cost more.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then he throws him off the poker chips through part of the stage or whatever
that was the most impactful thing he did, but
the self-breaking Triple H.
Oh wait,
throne.
did he hit him with the dirty deeds on the chips?
on the poker chip.
He did.
then
He did.
threw him
And then
off.
he threw him off. Yeah. Whatever. He's here. I know there are fans of his. Like, people like him. I always felt he was the weakest member of the Shield. I didn't like him on his own.
Really?
Yes, easily the weakest member. And that's saying something, because I don't like Roman Reigns either.
That's why I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, he is the weakest member, though. Roman Reigns at least was a powerhouse. Like, he was important.
I think
You know what's comical about that is that he was supposed to be the leader of the Shield when they first came out.
Who, Dean Ambrose?
Yeah.
Because his promo work sucked. He was doing the whole camera thing. Stop watching The Dark Knight. Him look, we're the Shield. We're gonna get, like, what the hell is that shit? They had people attached to chairs backstage with the camera thing. We're gonna make it different. What are you gonna do? You're gonna do what?
The Shield, I felt, was kind of an overrated faction. Like, everybody hyped him up, and then when I finally started to see what they were doing, I was like,
They weren't good.
is that it?
I didn't like it. And everyone had like ringtones like Sierra Hotel. Like, stop. Just stop. I didn't like it. The last good like group to make an impact for me anyways was Nexus. I liked that gimmick. I liked that story. I did not like the Shield.
I like the Wyatt family.
Well, the Wyatt family,
They
sure.
They were
Oh,
used
yeah.
so
Yeah,
bad.
they were great.
I wanted such great things for them.
So,
and
but
they all got shafted.
it was that stuff that ultimately I think bothered me the most with Dean Ambrose. His zany and then the other thing that bothered me too. I'm going to go off on him because I couldn't stand his. At least he stopped it. The rope
clothesline,
thing,
yeah,
the rope thing where he would fake like fall through then go. He would use it in every match, and his into the corner bounce off the corner thing. I know a couple of wrestlers do it too, but use the ropes. Don't use the turnbuckle to bounce off and come back. His moveset was
the
awful.
clothesline was cool the first couple of times I saw it, but then when it was like when that was his Superman punch, I was over it pretty quick.
And I don't like Ryan.
I wasn't a fan in WWE. I'm gonna give him a chance. See if he.
Well, that's more than anything. That's the thing is, who knows how much of him being a boring and or bad character was him.
Yeah. After what he said
Time will
on
tell.
Jericho's podcast,
Yeah.
he
We'll
hated
see.
those promos. Every one of his promos
That's
he
fine.
hated.
Sure, he was creatively stifled on that.
I
and
mean,
he
if
had
they
to say
tell him he
things-
has to do something,
Sure,
that's how he's
that's
supposed
fine.
to do it.
I am obviously we're here talking about the show. I watch the show. I'm going to watch the show as it continues. I watch wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to like it all.
No. Well, and that's why we had such a long hiatus here, because we didn't like it all for such a long time.
And I didn't want our program to consist of what I just did with Dean Ambrose, because honestly, 90% of the podcast would have consisted of us shitting on it.
Yeah.
And now
And I'm
we're-
hopeful that won't be the case. Whether or not we still have a lot of problems with WWE, maybe AEW gets to be the thing where we get to be excited for a while. And if nothing else, like I said earlier in this show, I hope that what AEW leads to is us being able to be excited about WWE again.
Yeah. No, I think it will. And
I hope so.
in really conclusion here, because that pretty much wraps up the show, by the
Yeah.
way.
I mean, unless Trevor had something else.
No. I want to throw it back at you now, because you had reservations, or I guess anticipating having the conversation about the show with me. Did I fulfill any of your thoughts or?
I experienced a heavy amount of trepidation going into this discussion on AEW, largely because of how you started the whole conversation off by being like, I'm diehard WWF and everything else can get fucked. And I was like, okay,
Here we go.
The man likes what he likes. This is what's going to happen. I'm pleasantly surprised that you were able to enjoy
A different
enough
wrestling show.
Yeah, and enough of it that you want to come back for more.
Other stuff. I watched Lucha.
Well, yeah, but the way you've talked about what we talked about tonight, it
Yeah.
gives me the impression that you're excited to see where AEW goes from here. Not just it's wrestling, so I'll watch it.
I'm intrigued.
With the exception of Dean Ambrose and the
So
Young
I do
Bucks,
wanna- when you
had
say that-
almost entirely positive things to say.
Because watch the
Those
broadcasts. The promo packages, the voiceover has been used in WWE pay-per-views. The presentation, it's in an arena stage setup like WWE pay-per-views. Like, there are so many similarities, and there's familiar talent.
Yeah.
This is WWE Light.
To some degree, don't reinvent the wheel applies here. You know what I mean?
They're not breaking the mold.
Well, and that's why I say to some degree. If everything they do from here forward follows the exact setup that they used here, it's going to get old quick. It's never going to make any kind of a difference other than just being another platform for the however long their TV deal is.
For the X talent to have someplace to go where they can be creative. But how long will that last? How long? Because that's the same stuff that happened with WCW.
And that's my
the concern.
point is, how long is it going to be a platform for the younger stars to have somewhere to go be creative until it becomes Hulk Hogan wants another run?
Because the people winning here tonight are the tenured people.
Yeah.
Just saying, that was my hesitance on this.
Well,
history repeats itself.
Maybe we'll get lucky, and the point of it is to set the tenured talent up to be overcome by the younger guys.
I think Jericho won because they didn't want to have the Bucks, Cody, and Omega win. The guys that are
the three
presidents.
big
I mean, 2 out of 3 did win, though.
That's true.
Yes, but
so,
Cody
betting
made
man.
sense. The Bucks, you could say, I think like I said, they're doing it so they can have the rematch at All Out. And
they set up for things, but they just need to be careful. Is the short form?
Yeah, extremely careful. I think there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of promise, but there's also a lot of potential for it to go sideways quickly.
Yeah,
no question.
But all in all, this has been. Unless anyone wants to give any shout outs to anything.
One question for you,
Go ahead.
since this is Travis. You watched Money in the Bank and this one. Which one is better? I haven't watched Money in the Bank, so I can't say.
It's hard to compare because the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is itself a gimmick, so it's centered around a gimmick. It's hard to say. There are positives and negatives from both. So, did I enjoy more? What would I lean heavier on? I don't know. I'd say Money in the Bank was a solid improvement for WWE, but they're inconsistent with that. So it's hard to say. It's truly hard to say.
Yeah.
The real answer is you don't have to pick and choose because they weren't at the same time, and they won't be. Their
They were
events
just
are on
close
Saturdays.
together.
Sure. But you could say then compare this to the upcoming Super Showdown or even NXT tonight. Was NXT better than AEW?
I didn't compare it to that. It was only 5,
But still, you can
they were
compare
both
things
really,
for
and they
shows.
were both really good. I know you can. I was
So-
just asking what your opinion was on that.
But fortunately, we're in a moment of technology, and the way they're booking things is smart. They're not directly competing yet, so I don't have to choose. I
don't
just
think there's going to be too much direct competition since.
well, SmackDown's moving to Fridays, and this is
Yeah.
getting Tuesdays. So, honestly, if I were to leave on one last statement, just watch it. Watch both, and if you enjoy wrestling, you're going to enjoy both programs for what they are. That's really the positive to end on.
Hopefully, WWE changes and ups their game because. I
If
like them
not,
both.
I mean, the talent has someplace to go now. I mean, they did before,
You know,
but
that's a potential upside that I didn't necessarily consider. One of the things we've talked about that's been a downside for WWE lately is that it's overcrowded.
yeah.
So if absolutely nothing else, having somewhere else for those guys to go will clear up space on the main roster, and maybe we'll start seeing the guys who aren't getting used well used better
You know why it's
just
overcrowded?
by proxy.
Because they have Roman Reigns on everything because of the wild card rule. Shane
Sure.
McMahon is on both of them.
Sure, and that is a major issue, but my point remains: if you have less people, you've got more spots. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of how
Baron
that
Corbin
works.
is in 4 or 5 segments on a Raw
Well,
when he shouldn't be on any.
WWE's MO is how do you reduce competition when you buy them?
Yep.
It doesn't matter what you do with them once you buy them, but you just buy them.
Shane's gonna buy him. He's gonna show up when Vince thinks he's behind him,
I hope Shane's
Surprise,
I hope
Dad.
Shane's kid shows up
and they're gonna lead an invasion.
buys them.
That would be hilarious.
But all in all,
Have
this
none of the
has
major
been
players.
our Nerds of Wrestling podcast. We are Dose of Nerd Acumen. You can find this on YouTube, podcast platforms, Twitch when we air these live. We do have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, Twitter. If you just basically search for Dose of Nerd Acumen, you'll find us.
We're around.
And if you like what you see, let us know. Give us some feedback. If not, well, oh well, because we're going to keep doing it.
Or alternately, in a constructive response, give us some feedback.
Give us your money.
You can do that too. I mean, you can hate us and just give us
I'm
money.
stealing a line from Anna. But now, in reality, though, it's been a pleasure talking wrestling, obviously, with these two.
It's been a good time.
Being Trevor, Rob, and then myself here. And I look forward to watching more wrestling and rejoicing or complaining, because that's what you do as a wrestling fan, to be honest. You have moments where you bitch about it, and you have moments where you celebrate. Because if you just celebrate all the time, you wouldn't celebrate all the time.
True story.
So, but thank you.
The Mr. Rogers moment right there.
Won't you be my viewer?
So that being said, I'm very happy I was able to actually be on again. Noob says that's why we love wrestling. 100% true. I'm very happy that we got to have Raven on an episode. That's something we've been talking about since we started doing these wrestling shows way back last year.
Yeah. Finally have you on.
And I really look forward to continue doing this and hanging out with you guys and talking about wrestling, being a nerd like we do.
Yeah.
So,
for life.
what he said.
That's where you close it.
Thanks for
gravity well.
That's
Thanks for watching, guys, and catch us on the podcasts.